Hello, hello. My check, hello, hello. My check, hello, hello. My check, hello, hello. My check, hello.
Good evening, all of you. Good evening to the online students as well. Yes, in the last class, we had discussed up till China. Yes. So we had talked about, we had actually talked about South China Sea, and then I discussed briefly on one China principle, one China policy, one China, two system formula or approach. Fine. So today we are to discuss so we will be starting with places in news. West Asia. Fine, so these are the places which have been in news. Please, at times you might find the discussion on it or the material on it, you might think about what is the utility, but I have told you in the very first class, UPSC tends to ask such question. Yes, over the years they have started asking such questions whereby places, regions, why it was in news becomes important. Yes, last year there was a question why certain places have been in news. Yes, so Mali was in news because of the coup. Yes, similarly you had such questions. So therefore the material has been thus made. Yes, and please go through it at least once. At least places in news, I think so, should go quickly for you. Yes, you don't need to read on it too much, but then this will move relatively swiftly for you. Before we get into these specific topics, let me just show you first. Yesterday's class I said that I'll show you this PPT on Central Asian region or Central Asian republics. So these are the 5 countries: Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. Yes, these are the 5 Central Asian republics which were once part of the Soviet Union. In fact, the interesting part is, as far as Soviet Union's disintegration is concerned, ultimately in December 1991, disintegration of Soviet Union was finalized. But actually the 5 CARs were not particularly interested in disintegration of USSR. Yes, they gained independence consequent to the disintegration because other Soviets wanted to come out of it. As far as USSR is concerned, which are the 15 independent countries that were created from erstwhile USSR. USSR disintegrated and it broke down into 15 independent countries. Yes, what we know is 5 Central Asian republics. Yes, apart from it, what are the other? Yes, we know about the 3 Baltic states. Yes, Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia. Then the 3 Caucasian nations. The 3 Caucasian nations are Armenia, Azerbaijan and Georgia. And you have Russia, Ukraine, yes, Belarus and Moldova. Yes, These are the 15, yes, 5 plus 3, 8, 11, 4, 15. And these three, the three CARs and the three Caucasian nations are part of Asia. Yes, they are Asian countries, while the remaining 7 are part of Europe. Yes, these are European nations. We have seen that the 3 Baltic states became part of NATO, in fact in 2004, and they are also part of European Union for that matter. It was in 2004, I guess, when they had become part of European Union as well. Fine. And Ukraine is a partner country. Yes, it is a partner country of NATO. The next step of integration would be it becoming a full member of NATO. Belarus continues to have very good relation with Russia. Moldova, as such a very small state, does not have much, does not carry a lot of importance there, but more associated trying to gain European identity once again. Yes, for Russia, these two countries are particularly important for its security. Belarus continues to be tilted towards Russia. Yes, we have also studied Belarus wants or has submitted application for admission into SCO. Yes, it is also it is already an observer state of SCO and wants full membership of SCO. Fine. Fine. So this is the Central Asian, 5 Central Asian republics. You need to look at the map thoroughly. These are the 2 most important rivers, Amu Darya and Sir Darya. In the past, UPSC has already asked questions on these 2 rivers. Yes, look into the drainage basin, where exactly they drain. You have Aral Sea, which is located as a transboundary inland water body between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. You have Lake Balkhash and Caspian Sea. Caspian Sea is very, very important. Caspian Sea, however, shares borders with only Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan. Uzbekistan is doubly landlocked. Yes, apart from Liechtenstein, this is the only other country which is doubly landlocked. Yes, and when it comes to China, China shares borders with Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. You can in fact have a look at all the neighboring countries of Central Asian republics. Does Mongolia share border with CARs? No, it does not share border. Yes, so you have China, Russia. Russia is a very large country, but Russia shares border only with Kazakhstan. Yes, so you have Russia, China, then you have Afghanistan, and you have Iran and the Caspian Sea. Fine. So you have 4 countries, Russia, China, Afghanistan and Iran. 3 countries of Central Asian Republic share border with Afghanistan. UPSC has already asked a question on the neighboring countries of Afghanistan. So you have to be careful there. The neighboring countries of Afghanistan include Tajikistan, Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. That is the reason you need to know their relative location. रिलेटिव लोकेशन का मतलब ये 5 कंट्रीज आपस में भी कैसे अरेंज्ड है. इफ़ यू हैव सम आइडिया यू विल बी एबल टू आंसर सच क्वेश्चंस व्हेन दे कम अप इन द एग्जाम. फाइन. सो दैट इज इम्पॉर्टेंट एंड दिस इज वेरी फेमस, द वखान कॉरिडोर. यस, कैन यू सी इट ऑन द मैप? आई हैव जस्ट कलर्ड इट इन रेड. यस, this is a narrow corridor. Yes, which is actually part of Afghanistan, which separates Pakistan from Tajikistan. Yes, it was created as a buffer zone between the Tsarist, before Soviet Union was formed. Russia में क्या था? Tsarist empire था. Between the Tsarist empire and British empire. ठीक है, तो Pakistan was part of the British Indian empire and Tajikistan actually was part of the Tsarist empire. Consequently, you find that they did not, these two were imperial powers. Tsarist empire or British empire were imperialist powers, were colonial powers, were colonizing countries. They did not want to come in direct contact with one another. So they created a buffer zone known as the Wakhan corridor. It was also in news last year or in fact last to last year, actually Pakistan wanted to gain control of the Wakhan corridor. What had happened? Taliban 1.0, Taliban when it had come to power in 1996, yes, did not establish its control over Wakhan corridor. So this time when Taliban came to power in Afghanistan, Pakistan thought that Taliban will not establish its control over Wakhan. So it thought it to be an opportunity to go and capture Wakhan corridor, so as to establish direct borders with Central Asia. ठीक है, अभी क्या है, अफगानिस्तान, via Afghanistan it has to reach Central Asia. So it thought it can establish direct links there and gain this territory. But this time Taliban, once Pakistan tried to gain control over Wakhan, Taliban in Afghanistan retaliated and pushed Pakistan out of the Wakhan corridor. Yes, so this has to be remembered. Wakhan corridor generally important. Wakhan corridor पे standalone question भी आ सकता है. Wakhan corridor match the following भी आ सकता है. It is presently part of Afghanistan. Yes, fine. So this is does India share a border with Afghanistan? See, legally we claim to share, but in reality we do not share. Yes, this is the problem in an India-Afghanistan relation. We do not share direct borders. So you have to look at the question that is asked and the options that are given. According to the options given, you will have to choose the answer. ठीक है? Officially, based on the, we claim the entire POK and Gilgit-Baltistan to be part of India, and therefore we claim that we share border. But in reality, we do not share borders. Yes, the de facto border LOC, is not near. We are not co-terminus, or we do not share border with Wakhan corridor or Afghanistan. Yes, fine. So this is with respect to this region. Caspian Sea, which are the littoral countries? I always, yes, TARIQ is the acronym you can go with. Yes, TARIQ stands for Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, Russia, Iran, Kazakhstan. Yes, these are the littoral countries of Caspian Sea. Sorry. Doubly landlocked. Doubly landlocked means that Uzbekistan, we say Uzbekistan is doubly landlocked. That means for Uzbekistan to access sea, it will have to cross two countries. For example, if Uzbekistan were to access sea, it will have to cross Turkmenistan, then reach Iran, then sea. Or else Uzbekistan will have to go to Afghanistan. Afghanistan in itself is landlocked. And then it will have to either go to Pakistan or Iran to access sea. Yes, so you have to cross two countries before that country can access sea. Fine? Fine. So this is with respect to this region. Once again, go back and just have a look, and keep looking at such regions whenever you get free time. Whenever you are tired of studying, maybe just open these atlases and keep glancing through. Look at the capitals, the name of the capitals you should be familiar. Yes, all such things you should keep doing. Fine. Next is West Asia. Yes, when we talk about West Asia, first you can see Georgia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, the three Caucasian nations. Why do we call them Caucasian nations? Yes, there is Caucasus mountain range here. Yes, located, this is Russia, south of Russia, you have the Caucasus mountain range here, and therefore you find that these three nations are referred to as the Caucasian nations. Now when we talk about West Asia, we consider these three countries to be part of West Asia. Just a small trivia, US refers to the same region as Middle East. Why does it call it Middle East? Yes, because if they place themselves they consider themselves at the center of the globe, then from their perspective it is located to the middle of their east. Yes, and when we think in terms of Middle East, the 3 Caucasian states are actually not included in the definition of Middle East. Again, from India's perspective, West Asia mein hi the 3 Caucasian nations are located. Fine. So you have the 3 Caucasian nations. This is the Caspian Sea, this is the Black Sea. We will look into, in a subsequent discussion, we will look into the littoral countries of Black Sea as well. It goes by the acronym Burger T. E does not stand for anything, but remaining, you have Bulgaria, Ukraine, Russia, Georgia, Romania and Turkey. Fine. So these are the littoral countries of the Black Sea. Very, very important. Yes. So you have the 3 Caucasian nations. Then you have Turkey. Once again, a very, very important country. And given its location, you can look at its location. Its location is, it's Arabian Peninsula. Yes, so it is like a connection between Asia and Europe. Yes, for the longest time, Turkey wanted to acquire European identity. They were dissatisfied with their Asian identity and wanted to be recognized as a European nation. In fact, they were about to be given EU's membership. But later on, you find the present president of Turkey, Erdogan. Yes, he is a populist leader. He has a sort of an autocracy has been established. Human rights violations are taking place. Because of deterioration in democracy, rule of law, you find Turkey has not been extended EU's membership. And today, Turkey has also left the pursuit of EU's membership. But as such, Turkey is located between a Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea. Yes, so it is very, very pivotal. In fact, Turkey is very unhappy about the fact that they have been left out of the IMEC corridor. India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor, because its location is so very pivotal, it could have been easily included as the gateway between Asia and Europe. But their exclusion makes them quite unhappy about the IMEC corridor. And recently, in 2017 actually, Turkey, Azerbaijan and Pakistan have also entered into a sort of security alliance with one another. Yes, so you find Turkey is not on India's side. It takes between India and Pakistan, it chooses to take Pakistan's side. Yes, so Turkey very, very important there. Then we have studied about this is the Arabian Peninsula, and we have talked about the Gulf countries. We have talked about the Gulf countries. We have talked about GCC. Yes, so here you can see that Iraq, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, yes, UAE, Oman and Saudi Arabia are the Gulf countries, minus Iraq. The remaining 6 are GCC countries. We have to be careful, Iran and Iraq are not GCC countries. Yemen is also not a GCC country as such. Yes, so you have this region. Then you have Iran, a very, very important country in the world. It is one of the largest producers, has one of the largest reserves of natural gas as well as oil. Yes, India had planned what is known as IPI pipeline. Yes, we were in pursuit of close relations with Iran when its clandestine, matlab secretive nuclear weapon program came to light. Yes, and since then Iran has been under a number of sanctions. Since 2003 onwards, in fact, Iran has been facing a number of sanctions. 2015, a deal was signed between P5 plus Germany plus EU plus Iran. Yes, and this deal is known as the Iranian nuclear deal, or it is also known as JCPOA. Yes, this was a very, very important development. Yes, and it had huge ramification on India-Iran relations as well. This agreement was signed in 2015. Consequently, 2016, India and Iran signed an agreement to develop the Chabahar port. But once again, 2018, Trump withdrew out of JCPOA and sanctions were reimposed on Iran. November 2018, Trump withdrew. Yes, so Iran has been since 2003, except for 3 years in between, it has been facing international sanctions. Yes, we have civilizational connect with Iran. Yes, we have historical friendship with Iran. It is also one of the civilizational states like that of India. And it's despite sanctions of US, yes, from 2003, it has also proved to be quite resilient. Yes, and continues to challenge the West-led world order. It has recently become a full member of SCO. Yes, so Iran, very, very important. Iran ke context mein we should know, one is the Chabahar port that I have mentioned. It is quite close to Gwadar port of Pakistan. ठीक है, ग्वादार पोर्ट ऑफ पाकिस्तान कौन से प्रोविंस में है? बलोचिस्तान प्रोविंस ऑफ पाकिस्तान. So the Gwadar port, which is being developed by China in Balochistan, yes, to counter it, we are developing the Chabahar port. India has developed Shahid Beshti terminal. Yes, Chabahar port we will study is very important to INSTC corridor. We are planning to link it with INSTC corridor now. ठीक है, तो चबार पोर्ट वैसे ही बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था, बट नाउ वी आर प्लानिंग टू लिंक इट विथ INSTC corridor. And with respect to INSTC corridor, what was more important? It was the port of Bandar Abbas. These are two important ports that we should remember. INSTC आएगा है ना. If you see ahead in the material, there is this discussion on INSTC. We'll discuss it in detail there. So Bandar Abbas is very important port here, which is located at, what is this strait? Hormuz Strait, है ना. तो ईरान का importance इसलिए भी है क्योंकि it is located at the head of the Hormuz Strait. Yes, during US-Iran deterioration of relation during Trump time, Iran at one point had said, I will block the Hormuz Strait, I will close the Hormuz Strait. ठीक है, तो you have the Hormuz Strait, and Hormuz Strait के एकदम ऊपर ही है Bandar Abbas port, which is one of the critical nodes as far as INSTC corridor is concerned. And now India is saying that INSTC corridor, we want to link it also with the Chabahar port. ठीक है, INSTC corridor has once again become very, very relevant, has been in news. Why I am emphasizing now is because what has happened? Sanctions of US both on Iran and Russia has made them come together to revive INSTC corridor. ठीक है, so this has become once again quite important. And from India's point of view, these are the two important points that we should know as far as Iran is concerned. Fine. So you have the GCC countries, and I've talked about Iran, Iraq pe US has, there have been two Gulf wars. Yes, first Gulf war happened because Iraq had invaded Kuwait. Yes, in 1991, Iraq under Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, and this resulted into first time operationalization of collective security under UN. UN का core concept क्या है? Collective security. Through collective security they want to ensure peace and global stability. But because of the deadlock, है ना, when was UN formed? 1945. When did Cold War officially begin? 1945. So UN has been in a state of deadlock. It was only in 1991 that disintegration of USSR had also taken place. So USSR was not in a position, or the weaker state of Russia was not in a position to veto a resolution put forth by US. Yes, China was also a weaker state, है ना, weak state था, अकेले वो नहीं. USA had emerged as the single superpower. So that time is the first time that collective security was operationalized under UN. Otherwise, once again in 2003, US launched the second Gulf War. So the first Gulf War had the sanction of UN, yes, but the second Gulf War was a unilateral action by US. And this time 2003, why did US launch a war on Iraq? US launched a war on Iraq on the premise that yes, Iraq was home to weapons of mass destruction, WMDs. Yes, Saddam Hussein's Iraq was holding weapons of mass destruction, but they were never found. Yes, however, Saddam Hussein himself was caught and later assassinated. Fine. So you find Iraq, when Iraq में ही origin था ISIS का, Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. Yes, and why did ISIS originate in Iraq? Because of the power vacuum created by US second Gulf War. They eliminated Saddam Hussein, who was the primary ruler, and they have not yet found stability. Yes, because of the power vacuum created in Iraq as well as in Syria. है ना, Syria में भी civil war होता है. We'll come to it. Yes, so Iraq, ISIS was found and founded there. And later on, what happened? Iran and US cooperated. ऐसे तो ये enemies हैं, but then they chose to cooperate with one another to eliminate ISIS. Yes, they chose to cooperate with one another to eliminate ISIS. But such is the nature of international politics that the primary man who cooperated with US to eliminate ISIS was killed by US in a drone attack in Iraq. Yes, when he was visiting Iraq, the commander of Iraq के context में आपको Iran के context में you should also know about Quds force. This is a force in Iran which is expected to fight extra territorial wars. हर country के का क्या होता है? एक army होता है जो army will fight war on behalf of that country. Yes, an army's role is to safeguard the territorial integrity, security of that country. But in Iran, apart from the army, they have something known as the Quds force. Yes, and the Quds force is responsible to fight extraterritorial wars. Yes, so Quds force was cooperating with US in fighting ISIS in Iraq, and its commander general was killed later on by US while he was visiting Iraq in a drone strike. ठीक है? So anyway, so you should know Quds force there. Fine. Now next is this region which is known as the Levant region. This region which is known as the Levant region. Levant region is located on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean Sea. Yes, it is one of the regions where UPSC loves to ask questions. And this time the Levant region is in news because of Israel-Hamas conflict. Yes, so you have the Levant region, which is this region. Fine. The Levant region comprises which countries? Syria, Jordan, Israel and Lebanon. We don't talk about Palestine. Why? Not recognized as a member country by UN. Yes. So you have Jordan, Syria, Lebanon and Palestine. Then you have this island which you can see, Cyprus. Cyprus island. है ना, Cyprus का capital क्या है? Nicosia. है ना, the Cyprus island is also included in the Levant region. You can write it down. Syria, Jordan, Israel, Lebanon. And at times this finger-like projection of Turkey you can see. So at times you have the Hatay province of Turkey is also included. Hatay province. Yes, in the map you can see this finger-like projection. And at times also the Sinai Peninsula of Egypt is also included in it. ठीक है, हमेशा नहीं, लेकिन कभी कभी Sinai Peninsula and Hatay province are also included in the Levant region. It is a non-state actor. ISIS क्या है? Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. उसका aim क्या था? Unlike other terrorist organization, it is also a terrorist organization. What was the difference between ISIS and other terrorist organizations, say like Al-Qaeda, such as Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, was it wanted to establish an Islamic caliphate. They wanted to gain territorial control, and they were able to gain territorial control over vast stretches of Iraq and Syria. ISIS has, आगे देखते हैं, ISIS has now spread to the Sahel region, है ना, तो that is there. And also ISIS के emergence के साथ क्या हुआ था? Wolf attacks, wolf terror attacks. तो western countries में individuals would on their own claim allegiance to ISIS and launch attacks. Yes, so you find that and at that point of time India was an exceptional case. Across the world, large number of minority youths would travel to Iraq and Syria to join ISIS. Yes, why would they travel? Because they were somehow dissatisfied with their government, with their society, with their state. But in case of India, despite the fact that India is home to the second largest Muslim population in the world, after Indonesia, India is the second largest Muslim population in the world, and by 2060 we are expected to become the largest home to the Muslim population in the world. Despite that, only handful of Indian youth traveled to Iraq or Syria to join ISIS. And why so? Because the minority youth is very well integrated into the Indian society. Indian society has been a pluralistic society where we respect, we just do not tolerate. We respect diversity, we respect cultural, religious pluralism. Yes. So in fact many countries, for example, in fact the CARs wanted to learn from India's experience how to integrate youth or minority youth better into their societies. Fine. Anyways, so this is the Levant region. Yes. अच्छा, ये वेस्ट एशिया में एक तो ये है द स्ट्रेट ऑफ होर्मुज, देन यू हैव बाबल मंडेब, द स्ट्रेट ऑफ बाबल मंडेब, then you have the Suez Canal. These three are the important choke points. और अभी बाबल मंडेब, Suez Canal have been in news. Why? Because of the Houthi rebels, yes, launching attack on international ships, yes, container ships traveling in this region, thereby blocking access to Red Sea and blocking access to Suez Canal. yes, और इसके वजह से क्या हुआ है, बिकॉज ऑफ the container, the large container vessels have got diverted, ये अफ्रीका है, they have got diverted down south of Africa, yes, Cape of Good Hope, yes, now via Cape of Good Hope they are traveling. So in fact goods cost have increased because they have to traverse a longer distance, pay a larger insurance fee, fine. So ये सारे straits important है, fine. You should know Gulf of Aden, there is Gulf of Oman, this is the Persian Gulf, it is also known as the Arabian Gulf, yes, we have Red Sea, yes, all this is important. Yes, so this is the Levant region which is once again shown in the map. Please, with respect to all these countries, know their capitals. Yes, so Syria का capital क्या है, देखो Aleppo has been in news, Damascus है ना, all these countries, Jordan का अमान है ना, सबका इनका capital आपको पता होना चाहिए. अच्छा, also with respect to this region, what has happened, this is Israel, yes, and in green whatever you see is Palestine, yes. So this is West Bank and this is Gaza Strip, yes. So West Bank has been under control of Palestinian Authority, yes, and in Gaza we had the control of Hamas. Hamas has been present since 2003, yes, and they believe that only military defeat of Israel is the ultimate solution for the Palestinian cause. Without militarily defeating Israel, Israel will never agree to the genuine demands of the Palestinians, fine. There is, and you have to look into this map very very thoroughly, सारे important, जैसे Haifa port है ना, you have Jerusalem happens to be contested between Israel and Palestine. Palestine for the longest time has demanded East Jerusalem as their capital. However, during Trump rule in US, Trump had unilaterally recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. However, rest of the world recognizes Tel Aviv as the capital of Israel, and we have diplomatic missions established in Tel Aviv. ठीक है, तो go through this very very thoroughly. यहाँ पे राफा है ना, जहाँ पे राफा is somewhere here, yes, Nazareth, Lake Tiberias, yes, all these are very very important, yes. Go through the map, Ashdod है ना, Ramallah, you have ये रहा यहाँ पे, this is Ramallah है ना. Go through this, go back home and go through this map thoroughly. You have to और जो भी एक बार देख लो, जो भी है ना cities news में थे, so if you can just see them exactly where they were. देखो कोई भी आपको मैपिंग नहीं करवाएगा एग्जाम में, मैच द फॉलोइंग आएगा. यू शुड नो दीज आर द सिटीज एसोसिएटेड विद गाजा, दीज आर द सिटीज एसोसिएटेड विथ वेस्ट बैंक. वेस्ट बैंक के साथ बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है रामल्ला. रामल्ला इज़ द होम ऑफ पैलेस्टीनियन अथॉरिटी, ठीक है. तो यू नीड टू नो दीज, है ना, इस तरह के जो जगह है यू हैव टू बी थरो विथ देम, फाइन. अच्छा, वन थिंग विच आई वाज ट्राइंग टू टेल यू इज, एक तो अच्छा ठीक है डेड सी का भी लोकेशन, प्लीज़ लुक इनटू डेड सी. डेड सी के कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स वगैरह देख लेना. यूपीएससी ने एक बार क्वेश्चन पूछ रखा है इन दिस रीजन, फॉर एग्जाम्पल they have mentioned the 4 countries and they said which of the 4 countries do not have a Mediterranean coast. और लेवांत रीजन को समझते कैसे हैं, लेवांत रीजन टूवर्ड्स द ईस्टर्न मेडिटेरेनियन कोस्ट. So until and unless you are very very much aware of their relative location, वो क्वेश्चन अधिकतर बच्चे नहीं कर पा रहे थे. But if you knew the relative location, you would have known, है ना, you would have you would have known that Syria shares a coast, Lebanon, Israel shares a coast. Only country which does not is Jordan. Jordan does not have a Mediterranean coast. Yes, so you have to keep looking at these maps. Relative location इसीलिए important है. अच्छा, next what I was trying to tell you is that because of this Israel-Palestinian conflict, we know there is Arab-Israel conflict. Yes, and there was in 1967 there was a 6-day war that took place between the Arab nations and Israel. And in this 6-day war, Israel made major territorial gains. One of the territorial gains was Golan Heights. Yes, Golan Heights, which is originally part of Syria, was captured by Israel in the 6-day war. Yes, and every year UN General Assembly passes a resolution condemning continued annexation of Golan Heights by Israel. Yes, and in fact USA has generally voted in support of that resolution. Basically voted against Israel, लेकिन Trump government ने change कर लिया था position. Yes, he changed, he had not voted in support of the resolution. Anyways, so Golan Heights becomes important, and alongside Golan Heights, देखो इसको लेक टिबरियास भी कहते हैं, नहीं तो इसका ज़्यादा पॉपुलर नेम है Sea of Galilee. Yes, this is Sea of Galilee. It is the only fresh water source in this region. Yes, Golan Height is inhabited by the population, local population known as Druze, and they practice an offshoot of Islam. And despite Golan Heights being under control of Israel for more than 50 years now, Druze continue to see themselves as Syrian nationals, and they have refused Israeli citizenship. Yes, fine. So you should know Golan Heights and Sea of Galilee. Fine. यहाँ पे एक जॉर्डन रिवर भी फ्लो करती है. वेस्ट बैंक क्यों वेस्ट बैंक कहलाता है? बिकॉज इट लाइज ऑन द वेस्ट बैंक ऑफ द जॉर्डन रिवर. यस, ये सब, ये नगेव करके एक रीजन इसमें भी मेंशन्ड है ना, नगेव डेजर्ट है ऑफ इजराइल. यू शुड लुक इनटू, है ना, इट. वही है कि मैप को अच्छे से देखना है. Yes, once again the same map. Here you have the Sea of Galilee, Golan Height, Nazareth, Haifa. ये कुछ important cities marked है. Yes, Bethlehem, Jerusalem, Ramallah. Yes. Fine. Yes, also चलो, when we come to this conflict, we will come to it. Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. ये अज़रबैजान और अर्मीनिया के बीच में है ना, वेस्ट एशिया का ही हिस्सा है, कॉकेशियन नेशंस. एंड कॉकेशियन नेशन कौन दो? अर्मीनिया एंड अज़रबैजान के बीच में देयर हैज़ बीन अ जनरल डिस्प्यूट ओवर Nagorno-Karabakh region. Nagorno-Karabakh is recognized to be, or was recognized to be, part of Azerbaijan, but it was inhabited by Armenian majority. Yes, so that was the issue. Azerbaijan wanted to gain full control of Nagorno-Karabakh, but it was prevented in doing so by whom? By Russia. Yes, because Russia was the hegemon. Russia ये सारी जगहों पे जहाँ which were part of former Soviet Union, Russia उन सब जगह का हेजेमन रहा है. Baltic states, है ना, hegemony was lost quite a few years back. But with respect to Asia, in Central Asian Republic as well as Caucasian nations, Russia was the hegemon. रशिया वुड एंश्योर द स्टेटस क्वो मेंटेनेंस. लेकिन अभी क्या हुआ, रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर, देयरफॉर रशिया इज प्राइमरली फोकस्ड ओवर द वॉर. It has lost its control over these territories, these countries. Consequently, Azerbaijan utilized it as an opportunity and pushed out the Armenians from Nagorno-Karabakh. Yes, prior to it pushing out the Armenians from Nagorno-Karabakh, it had imposed a blockade of the Lachin corridor. You can see, दिस इज द लाचिन, यहाँ पे लाचिन लिखा हुआ है, ये नैरो एक कॉरिडोर है, येलो में दिखाया गया है. इट इज़ जस्ट अ 5 किलोमीटर लॉन्ग कॉरिडोर विच यूज टू कनेक्ट नोगोर्नो काराबाख, यस, नोगोर्नो काराबाख with Armenia. So when Azerbaijan had blocked the Lachin corridor, it resulted into a humanitarian crisis in Nagorno-Karabakh, and few months later they were able to push out the Armenians out of Nagorno-Karabakh. Nagorno-Karabakh का जो local government था, that was based in Stepanakert, है ना, Stepanakert. Yes, the local government was based in Stepanakert. So Nagorno-Karabakh, question क्या आएगा ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा, match the following. Yes, Armenian Azerbaijan conflict. उससे ज़्यादा कुछ ज़्यादा आएगा नहीं, या तो लाचिन कॉरिडोर आ जाएगा, बहुत अगर डीप में जाएंगे तो स्टेफनाकार्ट आ जाएगा. एंड नाउ सिंस वी आर रेफरिंग टू दिस, यू कैन ऑल्सो नो अबाउट दिस रीजन नोन एज नाक्शिवन. इट इज़ एन एक्सक्लेव ऑफ अज़रबैजान. एक्सक्लेव का मतलब क्या है? इट इज़ पार्ट ऑफ अज़रबैजान बट इट इज़ आउटसाइड अज़रबैजान. हमने पढ़ा है India Bangladesh enclaves, exchange of enclaves. Enclaves is when my territory, India's territory was in Bangladesh. Within Bangladesh there is only one country that it borders or it is surrounded by. Exclave is my territory not in contact with me but it is surrounded by several other countries. Yes, so you find that Nakhchivan is an exclave of Azerbaijan and it is surrounded by Armenia, it is surrounded by Iran. Fine. So this is with respect to टर्की का भी बॉर्डर है इनका, जॉर्जिया का तो नहीं है, टर्की का एक स्मॉल बॉर्डर है. Yes, fine. Now coming back to our material. Fine. So Syria was in news. Syria ka Golan Heights they have mentioned. They have just talked about all the surrounding regions of, है ना, all the surrounding neighboring countries of Syria. अच्छा, सीरिया में किसका गवर्नमेंट है? Bashar al-Assad. Yes, Bashar al-Assad. Yes, and Syria में there was a Syrian civil war. You can look into the spelling, but fine. His government, he is an autocratic ruler once again, and यहाँ पे there was the Syrian civil war because the people wanted democracy, people wanted to oust his rule. Yes, but he was supported by countries like Iran and Russia. Yes, so Syria, इसी वजह से Syria में भी rise of ISIS था. Yes, fine. So that is about Syria. है ना, यू विल रीड थ्रू, एक बार पढ़ लेना, जो इंपॉर्टेंट लगे उसको हाईलाइट कर लेना. गोलान हाइट्स आई हैव ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू. यू टेल मी, आईसिस डेमोक्रेसी परस्यू कर रहा था? आईसिस ने तो फायदा उठाया कि वहाँ पे क्या हुआ, देयर वॉज पावर गैप क्रिएटेड, है ना. आईसिस वॉज नॉट परस्यूइंग डेमोक्रेसी. यस, आईसिस इज अ टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. यस, बहुत difference है. Democracy is about empowerment of people. ISIS, will it talk about empowerment of people? No. So basically it utilized the opportunity because there is a power vacuum that was created because of the civil war. That is the reason, because Assad regime lost control of several areas initially. तो इसी वजह से. Fine. Next is Armenia. Armenia, they have talked about Nagorno-Karabakh, है ना, a Nakhchivan autonomous republic or an exclave of Azerbaijan. So that all I have already discussed. You can look into that. Union Cabinet approved an MOU with Armenia on cooperation in the field of sharing successful digital solutions. Then you have, acha, out of Georgia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, yes, which is there any landlocked country? It is Armenia which is landlocked. So you have to be careful. Georgia, Black Sea का littoral है. Azerbaijan, a littoral of Caspian Sea. Armenia is landlocked. Yes. Then you have Bahrain. Bahrain, है ना, it is an archipelago. Yes, उसका capital क्या है? Manama. और Bahrain का recently I told you in the last class that they have recalled their ambassador from Israel. They had signed Abraham Accord to normalize their ties with Israel. Then you have Iran. Iran is always in news, है ना. तो Iran was also once in news because in March 2023 Saudi Arabia and Iran normalized their relations. They re-established their diplomatic ties. China played the mediator in resumption of diplomatic relations between the two since 2016. 2016 में diplomatic relations breakdown हो गए थे. And this is the first time that any other country other than US has mediated any such agreement in West Asia. नहीं तो starting from the end of Second World War, US has been the only country which has mediated agreements in West Asia, Abraham Accord being the recent most one. Then you have Qatar, and I have told you, know the relative location of Bahrain and Qatar. I told you, just maybe remember it. B comes first, so Bahrain comes first. Yes. So UN holds. Qatar में क्या है? तालिबान का political office was opened in Qatar. ठीक है. तालिबान का political office was opened in Qatar way back in 2013. तो उसी के through US and तालिबान ने negotiate किया था what we call the deal, yes, through which US withdrew itself from Afghanistan. ठीक है. कतार पे also Saudi Arabia and Qatar relations had deteriorated, है ना. बीच में 2015 के अराउंड उनके relations काफ़ी deteriorate हो गए थे, and Saudi Arabia had imposed a lot of sanctions on Qatar. Fine. There is no permanent body of fresh water in Qatar, they say. Fine. Lebanon is in the Levant region. Capital is Beirut. Yes, and it is likely to be placed on the grey list of FATF. Then you have Turkey. Turkey is a very, very important country. Maybe you can remember the neighboring countries of Turkey. Yes, Turkey का neighboring countries you try and remember. There is no harm, है ना. तो हम Black Sea का तो I have given you an acronym or a mnemonic to remember it. Similarly, Turkey also try and come out with a mnemonic, or else just try and remember the neighboring countries of Turkey. Turkey will be very, very important. Nagorno-Karabakh, we have already mentioned Nagorno-Karabakh. Yes, India supports this organization also, है ना, Organization of Security Cooperation in Europe, है ना. इस पे भी थोड़ा सा एक नेट सर्च कर लो, ठीक है. Do a little Google search. As such, they have mentioned it is the world's largest regional security organization with 57 participating states. And the Minsk group was created in 1994 to address this Nagorno-Karabakh dispute, and it is co-chaired by US, France and Russia. Yes, it is a Nagorno-Karabakh is a landlocked mountainous region in South Caucasus. Yes, the region is also referred to as Artsakh. है ना, ये रिमेंबर कर लो. नगोर्नो काराबाख ऑलरेडी एक बार शायद यूपीएससी ने पूछा है नगोर्नो काराबाख. यस, आई थिंक सो लास्ट ईयर ओनली दे हैड आस्क्ड अ क्वेश्चन, या तो 2022 में पूछा था या ऐसे, है ना. तो दे माइट जस्ट टॉक अबाउट अर्थसाक, है ना. So it is also referred to as Artsakh by Armenians and also claimed by both this. After the fall of the Russian Empire, it was recognized as part of Azerbaijan. But do just read, है ना, few points on OSCE. Then you have Red Sea. Red Sea, of course. अच्छा, Gulf of Suez and Suez Canal, you will remember. Gulf of Aqaba, वो भी important है. This entire, है ना. तो you have the Sinai Peninsula on one side towards Egypt. You have Gulf of Suez and then the Suez Canal. And on the Jordan's या Saudi Arabia side, you have Gulf of Aqaba. Yes. So that is, है ना, Bab al-Mandeb Strait, Gulf of Aden. They have mentioned Aden. क्यों? Aden को कैसे याद रखोगे? येमेन का कैपिटल है एडन, है ना. वैसे इनका कैपिटल था सना, लेकिन वो शिफ्ट होके एडन हो गया है अभी. तो दैट इज हाउ यू कैन रिमेंबर गल्फ ऑफ एडन. फाइन. एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, इट ऑक्यूपाइज अ पार्ट ऑफ द ग्रेट रिफ्ट वैली, है ना. आपने ज्योग्राफी में पढ़ा होगा एफ्रो अरेबियन रिफ्ट वैली. यस, इट लाइज इन द फॉल्ट डिप्रेशन. व्हाट काइंड ऑफ डिप्रेशन? इट इज अ फॉल्ट डिप्रेशन that separates the two great blocks of earth crust, Arabia and North Africa, one of the saltiest bodies of water in the world. Fine. The next is Oman में Dakkam port. Very, very important. Yes, Dakkam port has been acquired by India for dual logistics purpose. Yes, for military use as well as logistics support. We acquired it in 2018. National Security Advisor of India visited the port of Dakkam in Oman. अच्छा, अभी I might forget and I don't think so वो आ रहा है वो. Agalega port has also been in news. Sorry, Agalega Island of Mauritius, है ना. लिख लो Agalega Island of Mauritius. AGALEGA. Yes. सो 2015 में हमने एक्चुअली एक अग्रीमेंट साइन किया था विथ द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ मॉरिशस टू डेवलप एन एयर स्ट्रिप एंड अ जेटी देयर, एंड नाउ इट वाज रिसेंटली जॉइंटली इनॉग्रेटेड बाय इंडियन प्राइम मिनिस्टर एंड देयर प्रेसिडेंट. ठीक है. तो आगालेगा आइलैंड वेयर इंडिया हैज़ डेवलप्ड एन एयर स्ट्रिप एंड अ जेटी. ठीक है. और आगालेगा के साथ हमने, मॉरिशस के साथ हमने साथ ही में सेशील्स के साथ भी एक अग्रीमेंट साइन किया था टू डेवलप सच इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ऑन अजम्पशन आइलैंड ऑफ सेशील्स. Assumption Islands of Seychelles. See, you will have to find ways to remember which is associated with what. What I do is assumption, the emphasis on S and Seychelles. Mauritius then is Agalega. ठीक है. So these are important points. Why did I mention Agalega Assumption Island? Basically, these are actually nodes in Indian Ocean that India is developing to counter China in the Indian Ocean. ठीक है. जैसे ग्वादार पोर्ट को काउंटर करने के लिए हम चबहार पोर्ट डेवलप कर रहे हैं, वैसे ही है ना चाइना को काउंटर करने के लिए इंडियन ओशन रीजन में जनरली वी आर डेवलपिंग ऑल सच है ना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. फाइन. So Dakkam port was also acquired in that context. Then you have the Chabahar port. ये सारे पॉइंट्स जो इस मैप पे दिखाए गए हैं सब इम्पॉर्टेंट है. देलाराम जरांग हाईवे This has already been developed by India in Afghanistan. Yes, can you see Zarang Dilaram highway? Yes, developed by India in Afghanistan. फिर the plan was to connect it to Zahedan. है ना, the plan was to connect it to Zahedan, and in fact हम चबहार port तो develop कर रहे थे. Government of India had also got है ना got the agreement or got the deal to develop a railway line from Chabahar to Zahedan. समझ में आ रहा है? क्यों? क्योंकि अफगानिस्तान के साथ we do not have any direct land access. Pakistan is the country via which we can access Afghanistan, but Pakistan blocks our access to Afghanistan. So we want to find alternative routes of access into Afghanistan. Therefore, India was developing Chabahar port, and also as part of our cooperation with Afghanistan, we had anyways developed Delaram Zarang highway. Yes, so it is in this context. Chabahar port to develop kar hi rahe the. So we thought ki through Chabahar we can access Afghanistan. So how do we access Afghanistan? If we can lay down a railway link connecting Chabahar to Zahedan. So Indian goods which would reach the Chabahar port, from Chabahar via the railway link it will travel till Zahedan, then from Zahedan it will enter into Afghanistan and move into interiors of Afghanistan through Dilaram Zarang highway. ठीक है, तो ये सारे पॉइंट्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. लेकिन अल्टीमेटली क्या हुआ, ये जो रेलवे लिंक हमें डेवलप करना था, वी लॉस्ट द प्रोजेक्ट, है ना, टू ईरान इटसेल्फ. ईरान ने रियलाइज़ किया दैट वी आर नॉट डेवलपिंग दिस स्पॉट, दिस रेलवे लिंक बिकॉज ऑफ द वेस्टर्न सैंक्शंस. 2018 में जब बाइडन विड्रू फ्रॉम JCPOA, Indian companies could not complete the railway link. Consequently, Iran took up to develop this railway link on its own, and we lost this project. Fine. But anyways, Zahedan, Zarang, Delaram, all these are very, very important. Yes, in 2016, India signed a tripartite agreement with Iran, Afghanistan to develop Shahid Beshti terminal at Chabahar port. Yes, it is considered as a crucial gateway that would enable India to bypass Pakistan and access Afghanistan and ultimately Central Asia. क्योंकि Afghanistan shares borders with 3 Central Asian republics. ईरान खुद भी बॉर्डर शेयर करता है with, है ना, with Turkmenistan. Fine. Fine. So this is with respect to West Asia, and these are the places in news, have been in news. Next we are entering into Americas. So when we talk about Americas, there is North America, there is Central America, and then there is South America. ठीक है. North America comprises Canada, US, Mexico. Yes, US and Mexico are separated via a border marked by which river? Rio Grande river, है ना, Rio Grande river. ठीक है, RIOGRANDE, and this river is known to change its river course, and generally it changes the river course in favor of US. Yes. तो नॉर्थ अमेरिका में 3 ही कंट्री है, कनाडा, यूएस एंड मेक्सिको. सेंट्रल अमेरिका में you have a number of countries, we'll just look into them. Yes, and then South America also a number of countries are there. Fine. So this was the geographical division of America. Yes, लेकिन अगर cultural division of America करना है, then we talk about Anglo-America and Latin America. Anglo-America comprises only Canada and US, and all starting from Mexico till Argentina are part of Latin America. ठीक है, तो culturally if we divide, it is Anglo and Latin. Yes, Canada is missing here, but you have US, Mexico, and then you have Central America. So you should know, you should at least, you need not know their relative location vagera, but you should at least have some idea with respect to which are the Central American countries. So you should know which are the Central American countries, starting from Belize. Can you see? Yes, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. Yes, these are Central American countries. Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Belize. Yes, Panama, वहीं पे क्या है, Panama Canal is there which connects east and west coast of America. Yes, fine. Then you have ये देखो यहाँ पे ही है Galapagos Islands also, है ना. Yes, you have South America then. Yes, so South America also you should be aware. French Guyana, Suriname has been in news recently. Guyana, Venezuela पे क्या था? US had imposed sanctions on Venezuela. Recently they have been uplifted. Yes, so India can restart its oil imports from Venezuela now. Venezuela is one of the founding members of OPEC. Yes, then you have Colombia, you have Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina and Chile. As far as South America is concerned, अच्छा Falk Islands भी है. Yes, it is a matter of dispute between UK and Argentina under territorial control of UK, but it is a matter of dispute between Argentina and UK. Fine. And as far as South America is concerned, both Argentina and Brazil claim leadership over South America. They contest over who should emerge as the regional hegemon. We have good relations with Brazil. Brazil, which is also part of G4. It is part of BRICS. It is part of IPSA. Yes, so it is part of a number of groupings, L69. Yes. In fact, Argentina is part of the Coffee Club or Uniting for Consensus Club. Fine. And apart from it, apart from North, Central and South America, you can see a number of islands. Yes, these islands are located in the Caribbean Sea. These islands are located in Caribbean Sea. Yes, and therefore they are known as the Caribbean Islands. The Caribbean Islands themselves are distinguished into two categories. Yes, they are divided into Greater Antilles and Lesser Antilles. Yes, Greater Antilles are larger islands which stretch in east-west direction. तो Greater Antilles में कौन-कौन से islands हैं? Cuba. You also have Cayman Islands for that matter. Jamaica. Haiti and Dominican Republics are the two countries of Hispaniola. Hispaniola is the name of the island which has been divided into two countries. Yes, and Puerto Rico, which is now an independent country. ठीक है, तो Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Cuba, Jamaica, Cayman are part of Greater Antilles, and Lesser Antilles, and starting from Virgin Islands till Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago, very very important. Its capital is Port of Spain. It has a large Indian diaspora. Yes, so you can remember Antigua, Barbados, Montserrat, yes, Grenada, Barbados, Saint Lucia, Dominica. Trinidad and Tobago is the most important island there. Remember, Bahamas is not part of the Caribbean island group. ठीक है? Then you have something known as the CARICOM countries. CARICOM, once again, CARICOM stands for Caribbean Community. Yes, once again important, it has been in news last year, है ना? It was in news. S. Jaishankar participated in the 4th ministerial dialogue between India and CARICOM countries. Yes, CARICOM countries. CARICOM countries basically Caribbean island nations हैं. उसके अलावा you have Guyana and Suriname, which are South American countries, and Belize is also part of the CARICOM countries. ठीक है, Caribbean community. Yes, CARICOM it was established through the Treaty of Chugar Ramas in 1973. Yes, in Trinidad and Tobago it was signed and comprises 15 member countries. Yes, 15 members and 5 associate members हैं. ठीक है, तो totally 20 countries भी कई बार कहते हैं. 15 member countries and 5 associate members. Then the chairmanship of the community is rotated every 6 months amongst the member countries. CARICOM का secretariat कहाँ है? Georgetown, Guyana. In fact, the 4th ministerial conference took place in Georgetown, Guyana. Yes, and then you have India and CARICOM. When we started engagement 2003, 2005, India was invited as a special guest to CARICOM summit. Then India CARICOM Economic Forum was held. We helped in establish computerization of the CARICOM secretariat. फिर in 2019 Prime Minister Modi met with the 14 leaders of CARICOM, है ना? 15 हैं CARICOM में, लेकिन 14 से मिले थे वो. An External Affairs Minister recently co-chaired the 4th India CARICOM ministerial meeting with his Jamaican counterpart. But where did it happen? In Georgetown, Guyana. Fine. So this you need to remember. Fine. Now coming to our material. So Panama Canal, yes, Panama Canal helps to connect east and west coast of Americas. Shorter route of access, otherwise it would have been a much longer route to connect the two coasts. और ये क्या है? Isthmus of Panama has been dug out to create Panama Canal. जैसे straits होते हैं, straits क्या है? Narrow water bodies connecting two large water bodies. Isthmuses are narrow land strips connecting two larger land strips. दुनिया में बहुत सारे straits हैं, लेकिन सिर्फ 4 ही isthmuses हैं. So 2 of those isthmuses have been dug. Isthmus of Panama has been dug out, and Isthmus of Suez has been dug out. Then there is Isthmus of Kra in Thailand, and there is Tuhantipek, Isthmus of Tuhantipek in Mexico. ठीक है, which have not yet been dug out. They continue to stand as such. तो है ना, देख लेना, 4 isthmuses हैं. Isthmuses of Kra, Panama and Suez have been dug out, and there is Tuhantipek. Check the spelling, Tuehempec, Tuhantipek. Tuhantipek यहाँ पे मेक्सिको में है. यहाँ पे है ना, there is this narrow isthmus. I'll show it to you. है ना, ये यहीं पे है, ये दिख रहा है, इसी को है ना Isthmus of Tuhantipek कहते हैं, मेक्सिको में है वो. Fine. So Panama Canal. Then you have the Panama City. Panama City is the capital of Panama. Yes, MOU was signed on electoral cooperation. Then you have You have Suriname. Yes, President of India was conferred the highest civilian honor. Yes, MOU was signed between India and Suriname for recognition of Indian pharmacopoeia, है ना, and land borders इनके साथ हैं. Suriname is one of the top producers of bauxite. Bauxite is ore of aluminium. ठीक है. Cuba, US confirmed that China has had a spy base in Cuba since at least 2019. Largest single island of the archipelago in a country of West Indies. ये सारे Caribbean islands they cooperate as West Indies. फिर Belize, WHO has certified Belize as malaria free. ये बस इतना ही आ सकता है ना. Which country? Match the following. Why they have been used currently. Belize declared malaria free. Argentina has signed a letter of intent with HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. This region है ना, ये अर्जेंटीना, चिली एंड बोलीविया ये क्या फॉर्म करते हैं? Yes, they form the lithium triangle. They form the lithium triangle. So we have signed an agreement with Argentina for lithium exploration. And we are going to import a large amount of lithium. Why? Because we are focusing on electric vehicles, e-vehicles. And Falk Island we have already mentioned. Then you have Ecuador. Yes. So Ecuador has imposed, emergency has been imposed due to assassination of their political leader. Yes. You have Mexico में Mexico City है, पढ़ लेना. This is also important. Mexico Supreme Court ruled that state laws prohibiting abortion are unconstitutional and violate women's right. है ना, US में they had just reversed है ना, the women's right with reproductive rights of women, whereas Mexico has taken a step forward. Trinidad and Tobago, very very important. Yes, Port of Spain is their capital. Guyana का capital is Georgetown. It is also the headquarter of CARICOM. Yes. Venezuela, वहाँ पे this has been, you find that the sanctions were removed. So with respect to Americas, one very very important, in fact two important, but one very very important regional organization that you should know is, first is Mercosur. It is a regional organization of 4 South American countries, namely Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay and Uruguay. It was established in 1991 through the Treaty of Ascension. And Ascension happens to be the capital of Paraguay. है ना. तो और मर्कसर के साथ इंडिया हैज़ अ प्रेफरेंशियल ट्रेड अग्रीमेंट. प्रेफरेंशियल ट्रेड अग्रीमेंट का मतलब क्या होता है? वी ट्रेड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ पॉजिटिव लिस्ट. यस. FTA का मतलब क्या होता है? वी ट्रेड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ नेगेटिव लिस्ट. दैट मीन्स ऑन ऑल आइटम्स टैरिफ लिबरलाइजेशन एक्सेप्ट दोज मेंशन्ड इन द नेगेटिव और सेंसिटिव लिस्ट. Fine. So Mercosur, very 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 important. It is the most important regional organization as far as Central Asia, South America is concerned. Another important regional organization is Pacific Alliance. India is an observer to Pacific Alliance, and India wants to become full member of Pacific Alliance. India wants to become full member of Pacific Alliance. इनके साथ भी है ना, it is I think so one of the biggest group with which we trade है ना in Latin America. ठीक है, तो you which are the Pacific Alliance, Pacific Ocean का coast होना है, तो you have Chile, Peru, Colombia and Mexico. Yes, Ecuador is known more for its Andes mountainous terrain. ठीक है, तो you have Colombia, Peru, Chile and Mexico. These are the 4 member countries of Pacific Alliance: Mexico, Colombia, Peru and Chile. Yes, then there is CELAC, Community of Latin America and Caribbean Countries. Community of Latin America and Caribbean Countries. Community of Latin America and Caribbean countries. It comprises 33 countries of Latin America and Caribbean. LAC is the accepted acronym. Yes, and it was formed only recently in 2010. जैसे रीजनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है सार्क, एशियान, यस EU, वैसे ही एक रीजनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है CELAC. You can also look at Brazil. Brazil is a very very large country. I think so one of the largest countries है ना, ये 3rd या 4th largest country in the world है. Yes, and you see that Brazil shares borders with all Latin American countries except Chile and Ecuador. Yes, so remaining all Latin American countries or all South American countries share border with Brazil. Fine. वेनेजुएला का कैपिटल काराकास है ना. इन सब के कैपिटल्स एटलीस्ट पता होने चाहिए. अगर एग्जाम में आता है तो यू शुड बी एबल टू, you might not recall, but when you see the names you should be able to at least identify. You should not draw a blank, that is the point. Fine, so now we are moving into Indo-Pacific region. From India's perspective, what is this Indo-Pacific region? Geographical stretch of Indo-Pacific from India's perspective. It starts from east coast of Africa till west coast of Americas. In fact, both India and France view Indo-Pacific in this perspective. France हमारा बहुत अच्छा दोस्त है. Yes, the first strategic partnership agreement that we ever signed was with France. Yes, in 1998. And one of the reasons why we are very good friends, one of the evidences of very good friendship is the fact that geographical overlap with respect to Indo-Pacific. Now, as far as Indo-Pacific is concerned, India and US also cooperate on Indo-Pacific a great deal, but the geographical overlap is not there. From USA's perspective, it starts from west coast of India till west coast of Americas. So basically they leave out the Arabian Peninsula and that region, जो Southern Ocean, Indian Ocean. From Germany's perspective, Germany is also one important player in this region. We want, है ना, जर्मनी ने भी शायद अपना एम्बेसडर अपॉइंट कर रखा है या इंडो पैसिफिक पॉलिसी के साथ वो आ गया है. Germany is also a very important player, and as far as Germany is concerned, for them it starts from east coast of Africa, but it ends, at Australia. Yes, it does not go beyond Australia. So you find that every country has a different geographical perspective with respect to Indo-Pacific. Indo-Pacific, you will know India and US are very important players, but along with India, US और कौन important players हैं? जापान है ना, ऑस्ट्रेलिया है, ये हमें पता है. उसके अलावा यूके भी है बिकॉज ऑफ ऑकस. यस, एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम इट फ्रांस एंड जर्मनी. दीज आर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट प्लेयर्स इन इंडो पैसिफिक. ठीक है, ऑकस क्वाड से हमें इतनी कंट्रीज पता है, प्लस फ्रांस एंड जर्मनी. फाइन. Now as far as Indo-Pacific is concerned, yes, you find that these are the regions which were in news. So let us look into it. एक है Cocos Island. Yes, this was in news. It is actually Australian territory in the Indian Ocean region. Indian Navy aircraft visited Cocos Island. Cocos Islands, है ना, ये मैच द फॉलोइंग के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है. Cocos with Australia. They are external territory of Australia in Eastern Indian Ocean and it is close to the strategic maritime choke point. कौन सा choke point? Malacca Strait. ठीक है, मलक्का स्ट्रेट के पास है ये. हाँ, इट कैन बी एन इम्पॉर्टेंट बेस फॉर रीफ्यूलिंग वगैरह के लिए फॉर इंडियन नेवी, है ना. बिकॉज हमारा क्या है, इनके साथ भी हमारा लॉजिस्टिक शेयरिंग अग्रीमेंट है. यस, जस्ट एज वी हैव लॉजिस्टिक शेयरिंग विथ यूएस लिमोआ, है ना, पहला अग्रीमेंट उन्हीं के साथ साइन किया. उसके बाद वी हैव साइंड सिमिलर अग्रीमेंट्स विथ जापान, साउथ कोरिया, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, इन सब के साथ साइन कर रखा है हमने. देन यू हैव द सोलोमन आइलैंड. सोलोमन आइलैंड्स हमने लास्ट क्लास में रेफर किया था. लुक एट दिस रीजन. बताओ ये कौन से आइलैंड ग्रुप है? मेलानेशिया. इट इज मेलानेशिया, नॉट पॉलिनेशिया. पापुआ न्यू गिनी, यस, सोलोमन आइलैंड, फिजी, वनातू, है ना, नौरू, ये सब है ना मेलानेशिया का पार्ट है. ठीक है, अब इसके बियॉन्ड जो होगा, फिजी आइलैंड यहाँ पे है, इंटरनेशनल मेरीटाइम, इंटरनेशनल डेट लाइन, उसके बियॉन्ड पॉलिनेशिया है. सो माइक्रोनेशिया ऑन टॉप एंड पापुआ न्यू गिनी इज अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कंट्री ऑफ मेलानेशिया. And Fiji is very very important from India's perspective. Fiji ka capital we should know Suva. Yes, we had mentioned it yesterday. Fine. So you find Solomon Island was also in news because yes, Solomon Island क्यों news था? कल I had talked about this One China policy. So Solomon Island has also joined One China policy. They have ended their diplomatic relations with Taiwan to establish diplomatic relations with China. ठीक है. तो आप इनफैक्ट यू कैन डू अ गूगल सर्च. आई थिंक सो देयर वर 2 countries who at that time, if I am not mistaken, one was Honduras. But anyways, do a Google search and look into the recent most countries who have ended diplomatic ties with Taiwan to establish diplomatic relations with China or who have subscribed to One China policy. Then you have the Marshall Islands. ठीक है, US has signed a 20-year agreement on economic assistance to Marshall Islands, and are situated in 2 almost parallel island chains, Ratak and Raleigh. कितना कोई नहीं पूछेगा. You should just know Marshall Islands, है ना. Marshall Islands क्या माइक्रोनेशिया का ही पार्ट है, and that is also just know, okay fine, there is something Marshall Island. East सी और सी ऑफ जापान, है ना. एक तो आई हैड टोल्ड यू जापान के सारे आप जो आइलैंड्स हैं, होन्शू, होकाइडो, है ना, ये सब एक बार देख लेना. ये सारे आइलैंड्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ओकिनावा वगैरह करके इनके जो है ना, एक आर से भी है, आई फॉरगेट द नेम, ryukyu या ऐसे है ना, तो दैट इज़ ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तो इनके जो आइलैंड्स है वो आप देख लेना. उसके अलावा ऑन दिस मैप वी कैन सी सेवरल इम्पॉर्टेंट रीजन्स. एक तो यू कैन सी सी ऑफ जापान. यस, सी ऑफ जापान. ऑन टॉप कैन यू सी द Sakhalin Islands. Sakhalin Islands are very very important. Sakhalin Island is part of Russia and it is rich in petroleum reserves. उसका एग्जैक्ट क्या वहाँ पे फाइंड होता है, नेचुरल गैस या पेट्रोल, क्रूड ऑयल, वो आप एक बार चेक कर लेना. Sakhalin Island. Then you can also see Kuril Islands. Kuril Islands happen to be disputed between Russia and Japan. है ना. Sea of Okhotsk, yes, Sea of Okhotsk is also very, yes. Kuril Island is presently under control, I think so, of Russia. Yes, है ना. तो it is presently under control of Russia, but it is a disputed territory. उससे ज़्यादा नहीं पूछेंगे, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्या पूछेंगे कि क्यूरल आइलैंड या तो मैच द फॉलोइंग, और ज़्यादा चांस है डिस्प्यूटेड बिटवीन. ठीक है, सो डिस्प्यूटेड बिटवीन वो है.
Match the following is asked, then we have to go with the Russia, na?
Yes, because it is under territorial control of Russia. I will do one thing, I'll share a PPT on Kuril Island as well. है ना, वहाँ पे ये islands of Japan will also be there. You can go through it, as well as Kuril Island also I'll share a PPT.
Okay.
Yes, read through it once. Sea of Okhotsk is important, very very important. Sea of Okhotsk. Yes, then you have Sea of Japan, you have the Korean Strait, then you have East China Sea, you have Yellow Sea. All these are important locations on the map. Yes, Sea of Okhotsk in context of Kuril Island. Sea of Japan has been in news. Why? Russia and China will start a joint air and sea drill in Sea of Japan. Yes, it is the marginal sea of Western Pacific. Marginal sea मतलब क्या होता है? Part, है ना, small part of that sea. For example, Red Sea is the marginal sea of Arabian Sea. Arabian Sea is the marginal sea of Indian Ocean. तो ऐसे करके bounded, and it is this Sea of Japan is bounded by Japan and Sakhalin Islands, Russia and Korea on the Asian main island. Fine. Then you have Fiji. I have told you the capital is Suva. Fiji is very very important. Fiji क्योंकि एक तो IPEF का भी member है. Yes, the 14th member of IPEF is Fiji. Fiji के साथ we have good relations with Fiji. Fiji is also home to a large Indian diaspora. Fine. So all that. Fiji reconsiders security ties with China and amid Pacific tensions. Yes, so Fiji is more aligned to US and India's worldview. Yes, important water body is Koro Sea. Tropic of Capricorn passes. Fiji Island are largely a product of volcanic action. Papua New Guinea, once again Papua New Guinea will be important. Papua New Guinea will be important because it was the place where we hosted FIPIC. The third FIPIC summit has taken place in Papua New Guinea. और इसका capital क्या है? Port Moresby. Yes, so Papua New Guinea is an observer country to ASEAN. It is a member country of Pacific Island Forum. Yes, all that you should remember. Then Timor-Leste. Timor-Leste is also an observer to ASEAN, and it has in principle been given admission into ASEAN. Yes, we have discussed all that. और ईस्ट तिमोर का कैपिटल क्या है? दिल्ली. यस, सो और वेस्ट तिमोर इन फैक्ट इज पार्ट ऑफ इंडोनेशिया. ऐसा ही है पापुआ न्यू गिनी में भी, यू कैन सी, है ना, हाफ ऑफ द आइलैंड इज पार्ट ऑफ इंडोनेशिया. यस, इंडोनेशिया ऑल्सो लुक इन टू द वेरियस आइलैंड्स, है ना, सबांग, है ना, बाली, लंबोक, ऑल दीज आइलैंड्स, यू जस्ट गो थ्रू देम वंस, है ना. और उनके बीच के स्ट्रेट्स भी, लंबोक स्ट्रेट, बाली स्ट्रेट, ऑल दैट, सुंदा स्ट्रेट, है ना, यू शुड हैव अ आइडिया. देन वनातु. yes, Vanuatu, why was it in news? This was in fact a very important news. Vanuatu had passed a resolution, yes, which UN General Assembly General Assembly adopted a resolution proposed by Vanuatu vis-a-vis opinion from ICJ to protect climate system and people affected by climate change. So they had talked about that climate change is taking place, climate change predominantly by the industrialized countries, yes, developed world, and it is affecting the island nations. So in this context, what will be the, should there be any remuneration paid by the developed countries? The concept of climate justice and legal opinion of ICJ was sought. ICJ also gave its legal opinion in this case. ठीक है, ICJ का के पास दो तरह की jurisdiction होती है. What are the two types of jurisdiction? Just like Supreme Court of India, Supreme Court of India binding judgments देते हैं and advisory jurisdiction. Binding judgments कब देता है ICJ? When it involves dispute between two member countries over some international law or convention. Yes, and advisory opinion कब देता है? It gives advisory opinion only when sought out. That opinion is sought out by the organs of UN or the 16 specialized agency. So ICJ gives advisory opinion. Please be careful, this is a very important point. It does not give advisory opinion based on demand by any organization in the world. It will give advisory opinion only when that opinion is sought by the remaining 5 organs of UN or by the 16 specialized agencies of the UN system. Yes, so that is when it gives advisory opinion, and in this case they had given the advisory opinion in favor of Vanuatu and other small island nations. But advisory opinion not legally binding. Also I think so, you can just look into it. ICJ is not bound to give an opinion every time the opinion is sought. Fine, so that is with respect to Indo-Pacific. These were the places in news. Yes, then we go into Europe. अच्छा, ये भी न्यू कैलिडोनिया है ना, न्यू कैलिडोनिया इज पार्ट ऑफ फ्रांस है ना, फ्रांसिस टेरिटरी, ये ध्यान रखना. फाइन, मूविंग इनटू यूरोप. अच्छा, यूरोप में बिफोर वी मूव इनटू यूरोप, हाउ मेनी मेंबर कंट्रीज ऑफ EU आर देयर? 27 member countries of EU. Yes, previously there were 28, but with Brexit it has come down to 27. I have talked about in the last class about European Parliament, European Commission, Council of Europe and European Council. ठीक है, ये 4 bodies, primary bodies हैं of EU that you may pay attention to. Fine. Apart from EU, we talked about NATO. NATO, 32 countries of NATO. Yes, and we have discussed, broadly we have discussed, NATO was established in 1949, 12 founding member countries, then subsequent expansion has taken place. So NATO had talked about how in 1999, और 1999 क्यों याद है? 1999 में क्या हुआ था NATO में? फॉर्मर वॉर्सो पैक्ट कंट्रीज है ना, चेक रिपब्लिक, पोलैंड है ना, दीज कंट्रीज हैड जॉइंड नाटो. और ये क्यों हो पाया? क्योंकि 1998 में रशिया को G7 का G8 बना के मेंबर दे दिया था. फाइन, देन 2004 वी टॉक अबाउट द बाल्टिक स्टेट्स एंड रिसेंटली स्वीडन एंड पहले फिनलैंड in 23 and 24 स्वीडन. Yes, policy of neutrality, all that we spoke of. Sweden and Finland, their membership was opposed by which country? Turkey. Yes, and finally Turkey has agreed to their membership, and therefore है ना, क्योंकि unanimous consensus के through ही membership expansion हो सकता है. Fine. Then we talked about Article 5, yes, and Article 51 of the UN Charter. Fine. उसके अलावा when we look into Europe, we should know, एक तो EU है यहाँ पे major group, और एक है EFTA, European Free Trade Association. Yes, it comprises 4 countries. It comprises 4 countries. Which are these 4 countries? You have Norway, Liechtenstein, ठीक है, एक बार देख लेना स्पेलिंग, नॉर्वे, लिंचेस्टीन, देन यू हैव Iceland and Switzerland. Yes, these are the 4 countries of EFTA. Yes, and as far as EFTA is concerned, it was in news recently because we have signed TILO. Yes, we have signed an FTA. India has signed an FTA with EFTA, and with these 4 countries. In fact, Europe के context में we have been wanting to sign a free trade agreement with EU. 2007 से कोशिश कर रहे हैं, 2007 onwards. We have yet not finalized an agreement with them. Second, we want to sign an FTA with UK. We were expecting it to be concluded with Rishi Sunak's election and last Diwali. Yes, so we had thought that we will sign an FTA with UK, but we have yet not been able to conclude an FTA. And third FTA we wanted to sign with EFTA. These are the 4 countries which are not member of EU. Yes, and finally we were able to sign an agreement, I think so this month itself. Yes, matlab March mein, yes, we have signed an agreement with EFTA. You might just broadly look into the look into the terms of the agreement, है ना, what we have signed with respect to EFTA. Achha, what is the general reason why we have not been able to sign free trade agreement with EU, with UK, with US? किनके साथ हमारे free trade agreements नहीं है? Though US is one of the biggest, है ना? Many years it is the biggest trading partner of India. EU is also amongst the biggest trading blocks. Yes, major export destination for India. UK, once again a country with very good trade relations. But we have not been able to sign an FTA with them. Why? Developed world और India FTA नहीं sign कर पाते. Why? टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफ़र का तो बाद की बात है. हाँ, सॉरी, नॉन टेरिफ बैरियर्स. यू कैन माइक दे दीजिए.
Not adequate in India.
You can still on.
The manufacturing capabilities are not adequate in India. That's why they are not interested in investing.
They are not interested. They are very interested. Investment in India is very, very lucrative. India represents, there's a very famous statement, I think so, from, I don't remember the company's name, I think so it was Samsung, that India represents 5 big European countries. The large size of Indian market is very attractive. They are very interested, but it is India which is generally unwilling. Why? Because as he said, the manufacturing capabilities are weak, and otherwise also we have several disagreement with respect to, for example, let me just देखो पहले developed countries versus India, when it comes to FTA we have dispute over intellectual property rights. Yes, trade in IPR. Yes, they demand India is TRIPS compliant, and they want commitments which go beyond TRIPS. They want TRIPS plus compliance, which India is unwilling. Yes, because India believes that TRIPS strikes the correct balance between remunerating the innovator as well as the innovation percolating down into the society. है ना, हम यहाँ पे क्या करते हैं, evergreening of patent is banned, all such things, है ना. We in case of extremely high pricing, compulsory licensing के through हम दे देते हैं to other companies to produce the patented drug or patented product. Fine, so all such things. एक तो हमारा IPR पे we do not see eye to eye. Second is vis-a-vis investment. India has a model bilateral investment treaty. Yes, I think so. It came 2017 या 2019 में इंडिया ने है ना न्यू मॉडल BIT लेकर आया. And according to this, we want that whenever, see, if there is an investor coming into India, disputes are bound to happen. So in case of disputes, India says first exhaust the domestic dispute settlement mechanism before approaching the international courts, such as Permanent Court of Arbitration, whatever it is, ICJ, whatever it is. But the Western world today insists on what is known as investor state dispute settlement mechanism, whereby they say that in case of a dispute, the foreigner who is investing into India, the MNC which is investing into India, can immediately go and approach the international tribunals, yes, for dispute settlement. So this is another issue. Then third, we have a weak manufacturing sector. So anyways, our manufacturers are not able to compete when we have a lot of inflow of foreign goods. उसके ऊपर उसको अभी ऑलरेडी ये तो अब है, वी कैन नॉट हेल्प इट, बट वी डू नॉट वॉन्ट, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि सपोजडली आई हैव साइंड एन अग्रीमेंट विथ से US, supposedly I have signed an FTA with US, so I have agreed supposedly at 2% tariff trade with US. Now it should not happen that within USA's market enters Chinese goods, and via US Chinese goods are able to enter into India at 2% tariff. Yes, so we demand strict rules of origin, yes, which is non-acceptable to the West. Fine, so these are certain points at which we generally disagree with the developed world, and therefore we are not able to sign such FTAs. ठीक है, तो ये तो डेवलप्ड वर्ल्ड के कंटेक्स्ट में हो गया. जनरली आपसे कोई पूछे कि वाई इंडिया और मोदी गवर्नमेंट इनफैक्ट साइंड इट्स फर्स्ट FTA विथ UAE, एंड अभी सेकेंड FTA किसके साथ साइन किया इन्होंने? नॉट हाँ, दे हैव साइंड इट रिसेंटली विथ, है ना, ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ साइन किया है. आई एम नॉट एबल टू रिकॉल, अभी है इसमें नोट्स में भी आएगा. यस, अभी रिसेंटली वी हैव साइंड आर सेकेंड FTA, yes, of the Modi government. Maybe is it with this itself? I've just completely blanked out on it. We'll just see into it. Yes, so not Vietnam. Yes, we'll just see into it. So why is it that over 10 years period Modi government has signed only 2 FTAs? What is the reason? First, our manufacturing sector is very, very weak. So whenever we sign FTAs, what happens? The bilateral trade increases because imports increase, but exports do not increase at the same rate as imports. And second very important reason, which is a characteristic feature of Indian exports, is that Indian exports are income sensitive and not प्राइस सेंसिटिव. क्योंकि एक्चुअली ये इसका रीज़न क्या है? क्योंकि इंडियन एक्सपोर्ट्स, वी एक्सपोर्ट आवर कल्चर, वी डोंट एक्सपोर्ट गुड्स. यस, वी एक्सपोर्ट दार्जिलिंग टी, वी एक्सपोर्ट द ब्लू ceramic pottery of Rajasthan. Yes, so I generally give this example that what is the value of a kg, a kilo of tea leaves? 300, 350, 400 रुपए होंगे. Yes, maybe 500 rupees. But how much does a kg of Darjeeling tea, first flush Darjeeling tea cost? 50,000 rupees and more. And it is equivalent to the price of gold. Yes, yes, it is very, very expensive. So what we export is the first flush of the Darjeeling tea. And those who are purchasing the Darjeeling tea sitting in the West, yes, will a 5% reduction in tariff. So instead of 50,000, you have to pay 40,000, say 48,000 rupees. Will it make a difference? जो 50,000 का खरीद रहा है वो 48,000 का भी खरीद लेगा, वो 52,000 का भी खरीद लेगा. यस, so our exports happen to be income sensitive. It depends what is your income, not on what is the price of the good. Yes, so that is the reason. है ना, नीति आयोग का रिपोर्ट है ना, अदरवाइज ऑल्सो वी नो दिस इज द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक फीचर ऑफ इंडियन एक्सपोर्ट्स. फाइन. सो वीक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर. इसी वजह से क्या होता है कि हम मैन्युफैक्चर्ड गुड्स इतना एक्सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं. वी आर जोग्राफिकल इंडिकेटर्स वाले प्रोडक्ट्स ज़्यादा एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, है ना. सो इंडियन एक्सपोर्ट्स टेंड टू बी इनकम सेंसिटिव रादर देन प्राइस सेंसिटिव. फाइन. एनीवेज, सो आई टोल्ड यू EU बताया, एक EFTA बताया है मैंने, एंड ऑल्सो अनदर agreement which has been in news is Shenzhen agreement or Shenzhen area. Yes, this area was created in 1985. It was created in 1985. Yes, and presently, see, until very recently, there were, until February 2024, there were only 27 countries in Shenzhen area. Yes, it comprised 23 EU countries and the 4 countries of EFTA. Yes, but recently, Kosovo has been given entry into Shenzhen area, plus Romania and Bulgaria have also joined the Shenzhen area. And on 31st March, today only they will be full-fledgedly joining the Shenzhen area, Romania and Bulgaria. So presently, as such, if you see, है ना, अभी तक उनके official website पे they just say that yes, they are going to join, but they have not updated the number of countries. It continues to read 27 only. So, but I want you to know that Kosovo has joined, yes, as well as Romania and Bulgaria has joined, yes, and as a consequence, with these 2 countries joining, only 2 EU countries are not members of Shenzhen area. They happen to be Cyprus and Ireland. These are the two only EU countries which are not members, which have not become members of Shenzhen area. Yes, until today, it was 4 countries, Cyprus, Ireland, Romania and Bulgaria. But now Romania and Bulgaria are joining the Shenzhen area. Fine. So Shenzhen area, Shenzhen agreement has been in news. It was signed, this area was created by 5 countries. It was created by 5 countries. Do a Google search. Which were these 5 countries? 3 countries तो Benelux countries थी, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. I think so it was UK and France. But anyways, just look into it. Do a Google search. Which were the 5 countries which had signed the Shenzhen agreement. Since it has been in news now, so fine. Fine. So Europe will be important. Russia-Ukraine war, NATO's expansion, Shenzhen area expansion, EU member countries have a brief know-how. है ना? EFTA, very very important. Yes. So all this has been in news, so would be important. Yes. So first is Italy. India and Italy have signed a pact to deepen their defense cooperation. अब इटली को कौन बॉर्डर करता है? फ्रांस, स्विट्जरलैंड, ऑस्ट्रिया, स्लोवेनिया. यस, मेडिटेरेनियन सी है, एड्रियाटिक सी है, Tyrian Sea है, there is also the Ionian Sea. Yes, fine. And in fact, this also, this island, Corsica and Sardinia, नीचे वाला जो आइलैंड जो इटली का पार्ट है, इस आइलैंड का नाम क्या है? सार्डिनिया, है ना. इसको अगर आप देखोगे तो इट लुक्स लाइक अ कैंडल विथ अ फ्लेम. यस, सो यू हैव जो फ्लेम है दैट इज कॉर्सिका विच इज फ्रांसिस आइलैंड, एंड नीचे वाला है सार्डिनिया, यस, विच इज पार्ट ऑफ इटली. Then you have Malta. Yes, so you have, and Malta also do a little search, है ना. एक बार थोड़ा सा गूगल पे सर्च करके देख लो माल्टा को. माल्टा आई थिंक सो ग्रीस के साथ इनका कुछ रिलेशन था माल्टा का, है ना. बट एनीवेज इंडियन नेवी एक्सटेंडेड हेल्प अ शिप ऑफ माल्टा विच वाज हाईजैक्ड इन अरेबियन सी. Then Slovenia, COP23 took place in Slovenia, Barcelona Convention. Convention, which is this convention? Convention for Protection of Mediterranean Sea against Pollution. Adriatic Sea है ना, ये सारे seas आपको यहाँ पे पता होना चाहिए. Then you have Lithuania. So you have Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Baltic Sea. Yes, so you find they have signed an agreement to strengthen maritime bilateral relations. Then you have Cyprus, their capital is Nicosia, wins cheese trademark case with Indian company. And this island, Orkney Island, yes, very very important. It has proposed to split from UK. ये important है काफ़ी. It has proposed to split from UK to become a self-governing territory of Norway. Yes, and UK, it comprises, का नाम क्या है? United Kingdom. So basically it comprises Wales, England, Scotland and Northern Ireland. ठीक है, और यहाँ पे English channel है which separates France from UK. Yes, English channel separates France from UK. Then you have Africa. Africa, the other day also I told you some regions of Africa, है ना. तो Sahel region has been in news. Actually we have signed an agreement. Yeah, Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso. Let's see what is there. This Sahel region, the three Sahel nations, Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, have signed a defense pact to cooperate against threats of armed rebellion or external aggression. Yes, यहाँ पे सब में autocratic regimes है, military coup हुआ हुआ है. Yes, so they have signed an agreement. Sahel region क्या है? Semi-arid region है. Yes, and the countries of Sahel region you can go through. Nigeria is also part of Sahel. Eritrea is also part of Sahel. है ना. Otherwise, Eritrea is also part of Horn of Africa. Horn of Africa very very important because of China. China playing extraordinary emphasis on Horn of Africa. Djibouti में they have their first overseas military base of China. Yes, and China has also appointed a special envoy for this area. Plus Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Yes, Bab el-Mandeb Strait है यहाँ पे. Which has been in news. अच्छा ठीक है. The Shenzhen agreement was actually signed by Benelux plus Germany and France, है ना. Germany and France, not UK, but Germany and France. Fine. It forms a transitional zone between Sahara Desert and savannas of the south. Tanzania. And Tanzania is also an important country. I told you it is also part of East African community. East African community. और यहाँ पे क्या है? The first overseas campus of IIT. IIT Madras has established its first international. In fact, first overseas campus of IIT has been established in Tanzania. सेकेंड विल बी एस्टैब्लिश्ड इन UAE. यस, तो यहाँ पे देख लेना. यस, ये लेक्स देख लेना, लेक मलावी, लेक विक्टोरिया, है ना, रिवर कॉन्गो, ऑल दिस इज इम्पॉर्टेंट. You have then Senegal, recently witnessed clashes. Comoros, the island of Comoros, और यहाँ पे Mayotte Island है, which is a French territory. Then you have Ethiopia. Ethiopia, Addis Ababa is the capital of African Union, Secretariat of African Union. It is a landlocked country, very very important. Ethiopia is a landlocked, Horn of Africa पे है लेकिन landlocked है. Yes, landlocked country on Horn of Africa, largest and most populated country in Horn of Africa. ये भी देखो अब है ना, this region name Amhara. Amhara will has to be matched with Ethiopia. तो इस तरह से यू हैव टू रीड थ्रू द मटीरियल वंस, जो भी इंपॉर्टेंट लगे उसको अंडरलाइन कर लो, बाद में उसी को पढ़ लेना. यस, नाइजीरिया बोको हराम एंड वेरी है ना फ्रीक्वेंट एब्डक्शंस, लार्ज स्केल एब्डक्शन. दे हैव डिक्लेयर्ड अ स्टेट ऑफ इमरजेंसी ओवर फूड सिक्योरिटी, ऑफन नोन एज जायंट ऑफ अफ्रीका. गिनी Bissau, a very small country, yes, exports almost entire cashew crop to India for processing. Mali, UN mission backs constitutional referendum in Mali. Mozambique, yes, you can, इसमें भी ये जो लिम्पोपो रिवर है, ये बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट रिवर है ना. इस रिवर के थ्रू आई थिंक सो द ट्रॉपिक ऑफ कैप्रिकॉन passes twice, है ना, it cuts it twice. Zambezi river is an important river. Lake Malawi और Lake Nyasa, important lake. You have Sudan capital Khartoum. This is a disputed area, please है ना, pay attention to the disputed area. देख लेना, disputed between whom? Actually it is disputed between South Sudan and Sudan. Yes, Abyei area. Then you have Niger, military seized power in Niger. माली में भी मिलिट्री कू हुआ था लास्ट ईयर. तो यही सारी कंट्रीज़ ने आपस में ही डिफेंस एक अग्रीमेंट साइन किया टू प्रिवेंट थ्रेट टू द एस्टैब्लिश्ड गवर्नमेंट, है ना. अभी देखा नाइजर, माली एंड बर्किनो फासो, इन्होंने आपस में. मलावी इज़ ऑल्सो एन इम्पॉर्टेंट कंट्री. मलावी पार्लियामेंट्री डेलीगेशन विजिटेड. लेक मलावी उसी के ऊपर है. यस, लेक चिल्वा. लिबिया is also important. Yes, in fact UPSC has also asked, लिबिया का कैपिटल त्रिपोली है ना. और ये सारे जो मैगरेब कंट्रीज़ आप देखोगे, इन सबके कैपिटल मैगरेब कंट्रीज़ में कौन है? लिबिया, तुनीसिया, अल्जीरिया एंड मोरक्को. इन सब के कैपिटल्स आर पोर्ट सिटीज़. फाइन. एंड तुनीसिया वॉज द फर्स्ट कंट्री वेयर अरब स्प्रिंग took place in 2011 and it started in Tunisia. और catalyzing factor क्या था? An graduate student who was forced, there was such unemployment that he was forced to sell fruits on a fruit cart, self-immolated himself in the middle of the street. Yes, then from Tunisia it spread to Libya, it spread to Syria. There was also fear of spreading to Algeria. ठीक है, तो ये हाँ मैगरेब रीजन का नाम है. हाँ, यस, ये नाम है ना. नॉर्थ वेस्ट अफ्रीका, नॉर्थ वेस्ट, जैसे अब लेवांथ रीजन है ना, उसका फ्रेंच नाम, क्योंकि फ्रेंच कॉलोनीज थी तो उसको लेवांथ बुलाते हैं. तो वैसे ही मैगरेब रीजन इज द नेम. एंड यहाँ पे एटलस माउंटेन्स आर फाउंड, है ना. So UPSC has asked questions such as Maghreb region famous for Atlas Mountain was the answer. Fine. So you find that ये सारे regions पे question पूछता है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे काफ़ी है ना turmoil, जहाँ पे भी volatility है वहाँ से वो question पूछता है. Levant is full of turmoil. Maghreb has witnessed turmoil because of Arab Spring. So twice, thrice they've asked questions on it. Yes, so wherever there is conflict, wherever there is tension, they will ask questions. Ghibli, and a hot arid wind which blows. And yeah, in geography you must be studying. Gabon military officers declare coup after president wins. है तो गैबॉन में भी मिलिट्री कू हुआ है. यस, बर्किनो फासो, ज़ैम्बिया, बेनिन है ना. बेनिन इज़ अ वेरी स्मॉल कंट्री वंस अगेन. यहाँ पे दिस इज़ द गोल्ड कोस्ट ऑफ गिनी, ऐसे करके इसका कुछ नाम है. यहाँ पे देखना ये कौन सा कोस्ट है, और इस कोस्ट की ये सारी कंट्रीज इम्पॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है. हाँ, बर्किनो फासो, नाइजीरिया, टोगो, नाइजर, युगांडा. A minister of external affairs visited Uganda. Also, Indian government has declared its principles of engagement with Africa. ठीक है. तो when Prime Minister Modi was on a visit to Uganda, when he was delivering an address to the Ugandan Parliament in 2018, he had declared the 10 principles of India's engagement with Africa. फिर जिम्बाब्वे, सो यही ज़ेम्बेज़ी, लिम्पोपो रिवर्स, ये इम्पॉर्टेंट रिवर्स हैं, देखना है इनको. बोत्सवाना वगैरह. येस्टरडे आई टोल्ड यू अबाउट साकू. यस, सदर्न अफ्रीका कस्टम्स यूनियन. फाइन, सो ऑल दैट पे अटेंशन. यस, सो विथ दैट वी कंप्लीट प्लेसेस इन न्यूज़. Yes, next we are starting with bilateral relations. ठीक है. मैपिंग has become very very important. It has always been important. And वही होता है कि मैपिंग many a times we look at it from geography or world geography perspective, but the genesis of the question is actually from IR perspective. Yes. So you have to be careful and keep looking at the maps. That is how you get to know. Yes. And looking से वैसे देखना नहीं है, mindfully looking. Yes. So you have to think what kind of question, surrounding region, countries, capitals, है ना, देखते हुए. Which has
dried completely. पिछले 2 साल में यही क्वेश्चन आ रहे हैं, like the lake which is dried completely or of this kind. Is there any lake of this kind? Like
I cannot remember. See, I cannot recall at this point. Do a Google search. अगर ऐसा कोई लेक है तो अभी देख लो, है ना, कि बस
वो प्लेसेस ऑफ न्यूज में था नहीं, तो मुझे लगा शायद नहीं.
एक बार गूगल सर्च कर लो. कहीं क्या होता है, कई बार एनवायरनमेंट में भी इस तरह का जो टॉपिक होगा वो एनवायरनमेंट में कवर्ड हो जाता है. बट अदरवाइज अगर ये क्वेश्चन दिमाग में आया, इमीडिएटली डू अ गूगल सर्च and get over it. You never know. This is also, please, human beings are making it, so there is a tendency that they will miss out few things. That is why it is always advisable to be regularly reading newspaper, ताकि जब ऑप्शन दिखेगा तब एटलीस्ट, ऐसे नाम याद नहीं आ रहा बट ऑप्शन देख के याद आ जाएगा. यस. और अगर ऐसा कोई कन्फ्यूजन हो रहा है तो एक बार देख लो, गूगल सर्च कर लो. ठीक है. अभी इंडिया पाकिस्तान रिलेशंस, बायलैटरल टाइज वी आर स्टार्टिंग. So India Pakistan, why it has been in news? Because we have rejected the ruling of Permanent Court of Arbitration. First of all, how many international courts are there? 3. One is ICJ, which is a UN organ. The second is the Permanent Court of Arbitration. It is the oldest international dispute settlement body. It was established in 1899. Yes. And third is ICC, International Criminal Court. Please, all these 3 courts are very 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 important. PCA, ICC, ICJ often remain in news. ICJ का तो अभी देखा, वनातू के केस में it was in news, तो उसका jurisdiction पे भी question आ सकता है. Yes. Otherwise also ICJ वगैरह news में रहता है. ICC has also been a lot in news. Why? With respect to Russia-Ukraine war, they have issued a, है ना, yes, against Putin an arrest warrant. Yes, for war crimes. ठीक है. तो you find that all these, ये तीनों को अच्छे से पढ़ लेना. एग्ज़ाम में जाने से पहले, and now there is also the time constraint, and we are here to study from current affairs perspective. I'll not get into detail, but ICJ, ICC and PCA. Yes, membership, kitne member countries hain, is India a member or not, all that you study. The nature of jurisdiction. Yes, ICC takes up cases with respect to 4 crimes, genocide, war crimes, crime against humanity and war of aggression, whenever there is an aggression involved. तो इस तरह से क्या किसका क्या jurisdiction है, please look into it. So anyways, now permanent court of arbitration dispute with Pakistan के केस में है ये. Now what had happened was, there is an Indus water treaty that we have signed with Pakistan. When did India and Pakistan sign Indus water treaty? In 1960. It was mediated by UK on behalf of US. US had asked, by World Bank on behalf of US. So World Bank, there is this Indus water treaty signed in 1960. It was mediated by World Bank. And I told you who had asked World Bank to mediate. US had asked. And the US ne kyun ask? Why did US ask to mediate this treaty between India and Pakistan? Did not want. Pakistan was its camp ally, and it did not want other Western power or other country like USSR to get a chance to intervene in the dispute between India and Pakistan. Yes, so it is in this context it asked World Bank, it mediated, and finally we signed this treaty in 1960. This treaty, what it does, it divides the Indus river water system into 2 parts, into western rivers and eastern rivers. Western rivers are River Indus, Chenab and Jhelum. Eastern rivers are Ravi, Bias and Satluj. Yes. As far as western rivers are concerned, the right to use the western rivers water is to Pakistan. Over eastern river, right is to India. But western rivers first flow via India into Pakistan. India is the upper riparian country. Yes. So what are we supposed to do when the river flows through Indian territory? We cannot be mere spectators of the river. Yes. So we will be working to utilize those river water. लेकिन river we have the right to use the waters of western rivers provided we do not disturb the flow of the river water into Pakistan. We should not alter the flow. We should not reduce the flow of the river water entering into Pakistan. So this treaty says India can use this river water for non-consumptive purposes. लेकिन इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि ये पानी we cannot use it for drinking purpose. We can use drinking purpose से flow of water will not get disturbed. Yes, we can build run of river dams. Yes, all this we can do. Minimum local irrigation वगैरह के लिए भी use कर सकते हैं. Navigation purpose के लिए use कर सकते हैं. Inland water navigation के लिए use कर सकते हैं. Yes, so we can use it for all this purpose. But the problem is this treaty gives a virtual veto to Pakistan. So whenever we propose a project, Pakistan can say I have an issue with this project and we will have to stop working on that project until the dispute is resolved. So this provision has been misused by Pakistan. So India has wanted, for example, to build the Kishan Ganga hydroelectric project, which is a run of the river hydroelectric project on Kishan Ganga river, which is a tributary of Jhelum river. Yes. Secondly, we have wanted to also develop a Rattle hydroelectric power project on the Chenab river. Yes, but every time we want to go ahead with these projects, Pakistan raises a dispute over it. Yes, so it is in this context, finally in March 2023, India said we want to revise Indus Water Treaty because Pakistan is intransigent with respect to resolution of dispute. ठीक है, तो अब ऐसा है कि किशन गंगा we had proposed way back in 2006 sometime, and since then every time we propose to go ahead with this project, Pakistan raises one dispute or the other. तो अभी recently क्या हुआ, it was last year, what had happened was, see, as part of this Indus Water Treaty, as part of the Indus Water Treaty, there is also a provision of dispute resolution. The Indus Water Treaty talks about three mechanisms of dispute resolution. First is through Permanent Indus Commission. Under Indus Water Treaty, anyways, this Permanent Indus Commission, which comprises members of both India and Pakistan, they meet annually. Yes. Second, कि यहाँ पे आके अपना dispute resolve कर लो when you are meeting. Second, they say that the country who has a dispute can go and approach the World Bank to establish a neutral expert, to appoint a neutral expert who will try and resolve this dispute. And third mechanism that Indus Water Treaty mentions is that Permanent Court of Arbitration can be approached, which will establish a tribunal for dispute resolution. Yes, from India's perspective, the three dispute resolution mechanisms are graded in nature. From India's perspective, India thinks that the three dispute mechanisms are graded in nature. इसका मतलब क्या है? First you have to go here. If you are dissatisfied, then you go here. If you are once again dissatisfied with the judgment, then you approach the third mechanism. So we consider it to be a graded approach. Yes. However, Pakistan does not think this to be a graded mechanism. They think that these are three independent mechanisms of dispute resolution mentioned under Indus Water Treaty. Now what happened was, because of the dispute, ठीक है, and Pakistan has been raising this dispute for a long time. In fact, once they had approached PCA, Permanent Court of Arbitration, which had ruled, I think so in 2016, they had ruled in India's favor and India went ahead and built this dam. लेकिन उन्होंने एक बार ruling दे दी, but Pakistan was still unhappy because they just want, their motive is to stop India from building this dam. So what they did, they went to World Bank and asked World Bank that you establish a neutral, you appoint a neutral expert to look into the dispute. So once they asked World Bank to appoint a neutral expert, so we were unhappy about it. And suddenly then Pakistan changed its dispute resolution mechanism ka approach. Later on it went to PCA, once again to PCA, and raised another dispute. So at the time when they went to PCA and raised the dispute, India now went to World Bank and asked it to appoint a neutral expert. तो अब क्या हुआ, दोनों कंट्रीज़ ने दो अलग मैकेनिज्म के थ्रू डिस्प्यूट रेजोल्यूशन का डिमांड किया. नाउ इट इज़ इन दिस कंटेक्स्ट वर्ल्ड बैंक पुट अ स्टैंड स्टिल on dispute resolution. They said that they cannot go ahead with dispute resolution because two different mechanisms, if they get established, and if these two different mechanisms offer two different judgments, then whose judgment are to we follow? Yes, so this dispute itself got stuck in a log jam. It was recently in March 2023 that World Bank took the side of Pakistan and decided to appoint a neutral expert plus have PCA also look into this dispute that was there over Kishanganga. So India said, how can it be that two mechanisms are parallelly operational? Because we believe that this dispute resolution should be graded in nature. And what if they give alternative judgments? Whose judgment are we to follow? तो इस तरह से है ना, dispute came to a standstill. India said, revise in this water treaty. And it is in this context, है ना, India questioned PCA over its ability to give a judgment when there is a neutral expert to be appointed. तो इंडिया के हिसाब से तो ग्रेडेड है, तो पहले यहाँ से आएगा जजमेंट, उसके बाद ही आप यहाँ जा सकते हो. लेकिन अभी क्या हुआ है, पीसीए ने जजमेंट दे दिया वेयर बाय PCA has India rejected the PCA rejected India's objection and determined it is competent to consider the matter under Kishanganga and Rattle hydroelectric power project. Yes, so इसीलिए ये न्यूज़ में था. So वही है, and India has objected to this judgment because हमारा view ही अलग है. 3 mechanisms mentioned, India says it is graded, Pakistan says it is not graded. Yes. Now these are the 2 projects that they have mentioned. Yes. Fine, I have told you the background, जिस context में ये था. A permanent court of arbitration, इसका headquarter कहाँ है? Peace Palace, Hague, Netherlands, है ना? ICJ and PCA both in the same building. Then Genesis, established by First International Peace Conference held in 1899. Role is, it is an intergovernmental organization that offers worldwide community a variety of conflict resolution services. If parties choose arbitration for conflict resolution, the judgment of the arbitral tribunal is binding on them. Permanent court of arbitration, arbitration is what? Alternative dispute resolution mechanism. तो ADR का feature है कि जब भी आप ADR के थ्रू dispute resolution करोगे तो उसका जो judgment होगा वो binding होता है. Yes, so that is what India is a member. Fine, so they have talked about this which I have already discussed. You can look into the map of Pakistan. Yes, Pakistan, how many provinces of Pakistan are there? 4 provinces, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Balochistan, Sindh and Punjab. Yes, fine. And mouth of Indus, you find that finally the Indus river drains in here. और क्या है, partition through Red Cliff Awards and India has a surplus. आज के दिन तो trade suspended है. Yes. Kartarpur corridor is important. You can read through Kartarpur corridor. Imran Khan government had opened the Kartarpur corridor, provides for visa free travel of Indian pilgrims and OCIs to Gurudwara Kartarpur Sahib in Pakistan. Fine. Multilateral presence क्या है, सार्क में दोनों countries present है, G33, WTO and UN. G33 क्या है? It is a group of 33 countries. It has been created in context of WTO. ठीक है, WTO में it is a group of developed and LDCs, developing and least developed countries, which raise their joint demand vis-a-vis trade. और अभी भी G33 was in news recently, है ना. अभी WTO conference was held, है ना. तो उस conference में G33 had raised the demand saying that public stockholding of है ना food items, है ना, of food grains should not be considered to be a violation of subsidy given by the government. Public stockholding should be exempted from subsidy consideration, है ना, वो de minimis level. हाँ, ये सब है ना जो आपने WTO में पढ़ा है. Yes, ग्रीन बॉक्स, ब्लू बॉक्स, सब्सिडीज. तो public stock holding of food grains is considered to be violative of the or exceeds the subsidy that can be given by the government. तो उसके context में इन्होंने अभी raise भी किया था डिमांड. So it is in case of WTO ये है G33. जैसे कल हमने पढ़ा था G77 is within UN but G33 is in context of WTO. Fine. Then you also have the Tapi gas pipeline which will carry natural gas from Gokinish gas field via Afghanistan via Pakistan to Fazilka. Fazilka is the border town in Punjab. And the funding is done by ADB. ठीक है. और यहाँ पे आप चाहो तो ये देख सकते हो हेरात एंड कांदाहार आर पार्ट ऑफ अफगानिस्तान, क्वेता एंड मुल्तान part of Pakistan. Then India and Nepal relations. अच्छा अभी ये visits में they have signed several important agreements. India Nepal very close relation. They are said to have roti beti का रिश्ता. Yes, and Modi, Prime Minister Modi had given the hit formula, and now he has said that the relations have become super hit. Yes. HIT formula stands for highways, infoways and transways. ठीक है. तो बेसिकली बेटर कनेक्टिविटी, एम्फेसिस ऑन ग्रेटर कनेक्टिविटी. ठीक. तो अभी क्या है की इनिशिएटिव, दे वांट टू रिजॉल्व देयर बाउंड्री डिस्प्यूट. बाउंड्री डिस्प्यूट इंडिया एंड नेपाल के बीच में क्या डिस्प्यूट्स हैं? देयर इज द काला पानी डिस्प्यूट एंड देयर इज काला पानी and Susta. These are two disputes between India and Nepal. Yes, Kalapani is over the origin of river Kali. Yes, and Susta is over the changing course of river Gandak, which is known as Narayani in Nepal. Over changing course of river Gandak, we call it Gandak in India and Narayani in Nepal. Yes, and over river Kali. और एज सच हमारा बॉर्डर किसके थ्रू सेटल्ड है? थ्रू द ट्रीटी ऑफ, यस, ट्रीटी ऑफ सुगौली 1816. यस. तो अभी ये काला पानी वाला न्यूज़ में है, तो काला पानी पे डिस्प्यूट सेटल करना चाहते हैं. काला पानी इज़ ट्रायंगुलर रीजन, लिम्पियाधुरा, काला पानी एंड लीपू लेक. इंडिया बिलीव्स दैट रिवर काली ओरिजिनेट्स इन लीपू लेक. नेपाल बिलीव्स इट ओरिजिनेट्स इन लिम्पियाधुरा. ठीक है. फिर क्या है? फर्स्ट ट्राइलैटरल पावर ट्रेड. वी हैव अलाउड 40 मेगावाट्स ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी from Nepal via India into Bangladesh. and हाइड्रो पावर पे कुछ प्रोजेक्ट्स लोअर अरुण, पंचेश्वर तो इस स्टक है ना, लॉक जैम, डेड लॉक पे है पंचेश्वर. वी आर नॉट एबल टू है ना मूव अहेड विद दिस प्रोजेक्ट, जो जबकि ये बहुत एम्बिशियस है. 5000 मेगावाट्स ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी वुड बी प्रोड्यूस्ड थ्रू इट. ठीक है. बट लॉक जैम हो गया इस पर. लॉक जैम क्यों है पंचेश्वर पे? जो पावर प्रोड्यूस होगा वो तो इक्वली शेयर होगा, ये अग्रीड है, लेकिन इरिगेशन, क्योंकि ये मल्टीपर्पज़ हाइड्रो डैम्स होते हैं. यस. तो इरिगेशन में प्राइमरी बेनिफिशियरी इज गोइंग टू बी इंडिया. सो नेपाल वांट्स इंडिया टू पे इट्स ड्यू vis-a-vis irrigation. Nepal says water is liquid gold, so you have to pay for the extra irrigation that you get access to. But India is unwilling to pay for extra irrigation rights. ठीक है. तो इस पे लॉक जैम है. फाइन. इंडिया नेपाल का क्या है अभी? ट्रीटी ऑफ पीस एंड फ्रेंडशिप विच फॉर्म्स द बेड रॉक ऑफ द रिलेशन. वी आर द लार्जेस्ट ट्रेडिंग पार्टनर, हाईएस्ट सोर्स ऑफ FDI. नेपाली सोल्जर्स इन गोरखा रेजिमेंट. अग्निवीर स्कीम पे हमारा कंसर्न है. नेपाल इज़ नॉट हैप्पी अबाउट द अग्निवीर स्कीम. जॉइंट मिलिट्री एक्सरसाइजेस हैं जैसे सूर्य किरण, Power exchange agreement. Yes, this is very, very important. South Asia's first cross-border petroleum product pipeline, ठीक है, has been established between India and Nepal, which connects Motihari to Amlekhaganj, and it is going to be extended till, it will be extended till Chitwan in Nepal, है ना. इसको फर्दर एक्सटेंड करने वाले हैं और दूसरा पाइपलाइन भी डेवलप कर रहे हैं फ्रॉम सिलीगुड़ी टिल झापा, सिलीगुड़ी इन इंडिया टिल झापा इन नेपाल. लेकिन ये जो फर्स्ट है ना, फ्रॉम मोतीहारी टिल अमलेखागंज इज द फर्स्ट सच पाइपलाइन इन साउथ एशिया. ठीक है. सेकेंड पाइपलाइन कहाँ है? बिटवीन इंडिया एंड बांग्लादेश. अभी विल स्टडी. ठीक है. हाइड्रो पावर कोऑपरेशन MOU टू डेवलप वेस्ट सेती रिवर प्रोजेक्ट, सप्तकोशी, ये सब ठीक है. दिस ऑल यू नो है ना. BBIN, बिम्स्टेक, NAM, सार्क सब में मेंबर है. BBIN मोटर व्हीकल अग्रीमेंट बिटवीन बांग्लादेश, भूटान, इंडिया, नेपाल. Now Nepal, you can look on three sides. It is surrounded by India. On the northern side it is China. 70% of Nepal is, or yeah, 75% is covered by mountains or hills. Yes, it is home to major peaks in the world. The lower portion is the Tarai region, which opens into northern Indian plains. Then India, Bangladesh. India, Bangladesh, recent development क्या है? एक तो for fourth consecutive term Sheikh Hasina has got elected. Yes, raising concerns vis-a-vis the nature of democracy in Bangladesh. Also, we have signed agreement on the use of Chittogram and Mongla port. These are two ports in Bangladesh which Bangladesh has allowed access to India for movement of goods to and from northeast. Yes, so it will help us overcome our Siliguri corridor dilemma या chicken's neck dilemma. ठीक है. Then cross-border energy pipeline, India-Bangladesh friendship pipeline from Siliguri to Parbatipur is the second in South Asia. Yes, फिर से largest trading partner है, bilateral trade in rupees भी होता है. We have a trade surplus. Yes, एक कुशियारा रिवर पे we have signed an MOU. गंगा पे है treaty. तीस्ता पे they want, but we have not been able to sign. Kushiara, which happens to be a distributary of Surma river, है ना. उस पे हमने sign किया है. Yes, and then we have also signed a framework for interim agreement on sharing waters of 6 rivers: Manu, Mahuari, Kohwai, Gomti, Dharla, Dudh Kumar. है ना. ये rivers जान लो. एग्जाम में अगर क्वेश्चन आएगा तो ये कि दीज रिवर्स मैच द फॉलोइंग इन कंटेक्स्ट ऑफ व्हाट. यस, इंपॉर्टेंट इन कंटेक्स्ट ऑफ व्हाट. देन इंडियाज फर्स्ट ट्रांसनेशनल प्रोजेक्ट एट गोदा इन झारखंड सप्लाइज पावर. अब फिर IOC पे थोड़ा सा पढ़ लेना. अभी इनफैक्ट 7th IOC हैज़ बीन हेल्ड, है ना. अभी 7th IOC वॉज हेल्ड. Let me tell you where was it held. IOC है क्या? Indian Ocean Conference. अभी in 2024, February 2024, yes, 7th edition of IOC took place in Perth, Australia. In Perth, Australia. And IOC is a flagship consultative forum. It is a flagship consultative forum. For countries in Indian Ocean region, organized by Ministry of External Affairs. Organized by Ministry of External MEA. It is a flagship consultative forum for countries of the Indian Ocean region organized annually by Ministry of External Affairs in association with the India Foundation. In association with the India Foundation. और भी कुछ कुछ ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं जो ज्वाइन करती है इन ऑर्गेनाइजिंग, बट प्राइमरली इट इज़ MEA, है ना, MEA in association with India Foundation. Yes, and this year's theme of the conference was towards a stable and sustainable Indian Ocean. Towards a stable and sustainable Indian Ocean. Yes. So IOC, they have also said IOC is a platform to discuss how countries of IOR can promote economic development while maintaining peace and stability. यहाँ पे it provides a common platform to deliberate upon prospects of regional cooperation for Sagar. Sagar is the vision of Government of India with respect to Indian Ocean region. Sagar stands for security and growth for all in the region. And 2016 first IOC was held in Singapore. Fine. So IOC as such is important. आप इसको चाहे you can put it into star mark. Yes, it is relatively new. We can expect a question there. Yes, Bangladesh. You can look into the Bangladesh is the neighboring country with which India shares the longest borders. Okay, and there are 5 states with which Bangladesh borders. It is 4096 kilometer long and home to Sundarbans. Then India Sri Lanka celebrated 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations in 2023. 1948 is when Sri Lanka became independent. That is when we established diplomatic ties with Sri Lanka. Yes, अभी recently क्यों न्यूज़ में था, because they have operationalized UPI digital payments in Sri Lanka, designating Indian rupee as the currency for trade. Very, very important. Renewable energy and economic development projects in Trincomalee. Yes, हमने कल Trincomalee देखा था. To start passenger ferry services between Nagapattinam and Kankesanturai. ये भी कल देखा था मैप पे. Yes, all these points would be Kankesanturai. This ferry service is very, very important. It was quite a bit in news. ठीक है. So you find that, and अभी क्या है, basically हमने 5 pillars of cooperation identify किए हैं श्रीलंका के साथ. All focus on connectivity, increasing connectivity between India and Sri Lanka. As such, India signed its first free trade agreement with Sri Lanka. So what does that show? That Sri Lanka was once a prosperous nation, economically prosperous nation. लेकिन आज के दिन they have witnessed the biggest economic crisis in their independent history. They were about to default on their sovereign debt. And $51 billion, around $51 billion sovereign debt. Yes, and has a trade, India has a trade surplus, one of the largest contributors to FDI. We have agreements like Open Sky, matlab airlines can operate between the two, and air bubble in context of COVID-19. Yes, this India Sri Lanka accord was signed in 1987, through which India suggested 13th constitutional amendment. This amendment has been enacted into the constitution but not implemented. Yes, so you have to be careful. This amendment is for creation of provincial council, basically federal provinces, and power sharing with provinces of Sri Lanka. Yes, or you find we are present together in SAARC, BIMSTEC, IORA, NAM, ADB, UN, etc. Also you can pay attention कि executive and judicial capital is Colombo. Generally हम Colombo को ही capital बुलाते हैं, लेकिन legislative capital is Sri Jayawardhanepura Kotte. Yes, water bodies, वही Park Strait, Gulf of Mannar, Park Bay, Adams Bridge, सब important है ना. Gulf of Mannar, Park Strait, you can see. There is also Park Bay, which you should locate, है ना. और ये सब ये जयवर्धने पूरा कोटेज शोन हम्बनतोटा ट्रिंकोमली बाटिकोला जाफना पेनिनसुला मन्नार है ना, सब न्यूज़ में रहे हैं. सो ऑल दिस इज इम्पॉर्टेंट. Then you have Maldives. Yes, Maldives has also been in news. Maldives में क्या हुआ था अभी recently there was election in November 2023. Whose government has got established? Mizu. Yes, Mohammed Mizu has come to power. Mohammed Mizu is from Progressive Party है ना of Maldives. This party is actually led by Abdullah Yamin. ठीक है, और उन्होंने किसको रिप्लेस किया है? इब्राहिम सोली. इब्राहिम सोली हु वाज फ्रॉम MDP, Maldivian Democratic Party. और what is one of the primary reasons for victory of Mizu over Ibrahim Soli? Because MDP underwent a split. ठीक है, तो Nasheed created his own political party. Mohammed Nasheed, who was the founder of MDP, created his own political party known as the Democrat. ठीक है, इस वजह से इनके चांसेस बढ़ गए जीतने के और ये जीत गए. एंड नाउ दिस मैन Mizu is said to have a bias towards China. In fact, he came to power on India Out campaign, which was led by his political party या Abdullah Yamin. ठीक है, तो India Out campaign के अंडर what they have actually got India to move out the 2 helicopters that we had gifted to them, along with 87 military personnel है ना of India who were based in Sri Lanka to operate and maintain those helicopters. ठीक है, तो that has already happened. India Out campaign opposed India's military presence. और India Out campaign was based on false propaganda. और वो propaganda क्या था? Maldivian government of Ibrahim Soli had asked us to develop this atoll Uthuru Thilafalu. Yes, UTF atoll हमें develop करने के लिए बोला था. India was building a new coast guard base at Uthuru Thilafalu atoll. लेकिन यामीन ने कहा कि we are not actually building a new coast guard base at UTF. We are building a base for India's military in UTF. So we are going to use UTF as India's overseas military base, compromising Maldivian security sovereignty over UTF. Yes, it is on this ground that he led India Out campaign, but it gained traction, and finally Ibrahim Soli was ousted and Mizu came into power. ठीक है, joint military exercise. और Maldives क्यों important है? उसका strategic location in the Indian Ocean region plus very close to India, in proximity to India. In fact, Andaman and Nicobar Islands are farther from India, but Maldives is closer to India. In fact, India and Maldives के बीच में there was a territorial dispute over Minicoy Islands, and ultimately it was settled in 1970s in India's favor. So Minicoy is now recognized as part of Lakshadweep, and below it begins Maldives. And I think so 8 degree, एक बार देख लेना कौन सा longitude, 8 degree longitude separates Maldives, yeah, India from Maldives, Lakshadweep and Maldives. Fine. We have been the net security provider for Maldives. We have conducted Operation Cactus in 1988 to thwart a military coup which was planned against Maldives then leader Abdullah Gayoom. एंड ऑपरेशन नीर 2014 में जहाँ पे हमने उनको ड्रिंकिंग वाटर सप्लाई किया था बिकॉज फायर ऑन देयर ओनली डीसैलिनाइजेशन प्लांट इन मले. यस, वी हैव एस्टैब्लिश्ड इंदिरा गांधी मेमोरियल हॉस्पिटल, इंस्टीट्यूट फॉर टेक्निकल एजुकेशन. India provides grant for high impact community development project. Maldives is a beneficiary of India's Indian technical and economic cooperation. Maldives has received the highest increase in budget allocation for neighboring countries in India's interim budget. अभी इस साल हमने interim budget लिया था. So interim budget is also important है ना. Interim budget पे भी question आ सकते हैं exam में. What is interim budget? Why interim budget? All that. हाँ, infrastructure project, Greater Malay Connectivity Project जो India develop कर रहा है. Yes, Open Skies Agreement. ये सारे multilateral platforms पे हम साथ में. SAARC, SASEC, IORA, इंडियन ओशन नेवल सिम्पोजियम, ये भी एक इस पे इनफैक्ट प्रीलिम्स में क्वेश्चन आ चुका है. इंडियन ओशन नेवल सिम्पोजियम IONS. IONS के कितने मेंबर कंट्रीज़ हैं? 25 मेंबर कंट्रीज़, 9 ऑब्जर्वर स्टेट्स. और इसका एम क्या है? टू एंश्योर मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटी थ्रू नेवल कोऑपरेशन. यस. देन UN, WTO, ILO एंड G77. अच्छा, IONS का एक जो इम्पॉर्टेंट फीचर है, द चेयरमैनशिप ऑफ IONS is with member countries Navy, and it is not ministers who chair, but it is the Navy chief who chairs IONS. समझ में आ गया? Yes. एंड SASEC क्या है? साउथ एशिया सब रीजनल इकोनॉमिक कनेक्टिविटी, ऐसे करके इसका कुछ नाम है. इट इज़ फॉर कनेक्टिविटीज है ना, टू फॉस्टर कनेक्टिविटी इन द रीजन. SASEC पे एक बार गूगल सर्च कर लेना, ठीक है. साउथ एशिया सब रीजनल इकोनॉमिक कनेक्टिविटी, आई थिंक सो इज द full form. Fine. They have shown Maldives on the map. Yes. So the equator passes through Maldives. Yes. ये coral atolls हैं. Yes, 8-degree channel separates Lakshadweep from Maldives. Then Malaysia has also been in news. India and Malaysia have agreed to settle trade in Indian rupees. Yes, in addition to the current mode of settlements in other currencies. अभी क्या हो रहा है? There is this trend of de-dollarization. Across the world, there is this trend of de-dollarization. In fact, BRICS is also leading this trend or emphasizing on de-dollarization of international trade. इसका मतलब क्या है? International trade from 1970s has been predominantly conducted in US dollars. But now the world is not liking the fact that the predominant currency is US dollar. Why? Because what has happened, because the trade is in international dollar, US has come to wield a lot of power. It is able to impose secondary sanctions. So unilateral sanctions impose करता है किसी से consult किए बिना, such as on Iran, such as on Venezuela. These are examples of unilateral sanctions, and BRICS countries are not also comfortable with sanctions on Russia, secondary sanctions on Russia. So because of such unilateralism shown by US, you find that world is moving towards de-dollarization. So therefore local currency में trade, जैसे श्रीलंका के साथ, and now also with Malaysia. Now diplomatic relations were established in 1957. Presently we have strategic partnership. We also have SICA. जैसे FTA होता है वैसे ही FTA का एक वर्जन है SICA. SICA is deeper than FTA है ना. फ्री ट्रेड अग्रीमेंट से ज़्यादा ब्रॉडर है SICA. Yes. Malaysia along with Indonesia and Thailand are exporters of palm oil to India. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे देख लेना आप, ये लैंड बॉर्डर वगैरह ब्रूनी वगैरह मेंशन्ड है. यस, 2 नॉन कॉन्टिगुअस रीजन, पेनिनसुलर मलेशिया है, फिर द अदर पोर्शन इज शोन ऑन द मैप. यस, you can look into it. India, Philippines, during their 5th meeting of Joint Commission of Bilateral Cooperation, decided to expand their defense partnership. Actually, Philippines is also expanding defense partnership with US in context of conflict in South China Sea. Yes. And BrahMos missile. which India has co-developed with Russia. We plan, है ना, there is a contract to sell it to Philippines. हाइड्रोग्राफिक कोऑपरेशन मतलब सी पे, है ना, सी मैपिंग पे भी कोऑपरेशन करेंगे. यस, हिस्टोरिकल एंड कल्चरल लिंक्स यू कैन हैव अ लुक. Philippines also they have talked about this archipelago, you can have a look. है ना, ये सेलेबस सी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसको मैप में लोकेट कर लेना. सेलेबस आइलैंड भी है और सेलेबस सी भी है ना. सेलेबस आइलैंड के नाम पे है, सेलेबस सी, यू कैन लोकेट इट इन द मैप. फाइन. इंडिया सऊदी अरेबिया, इंडिया सऊदी अरेबिया क्यों न्यूज़ में था? क्योंकि ड्यूरिंग दी G20 समिट, Prime Minister Modi and the Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, which happens to be the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, whose name is Mohammed bin Salman, co-chaired the first Strategic Partnership Council meeting, the first summit level meeting of India Saudi Arabia Strategic Partnership Council. ठीक है. Now this Strategic Partnership Council was set up in 2019. In fact, this idea of Strategic Partnership Council is part of Vision 2030 of the kingdom. Saudi Arabia has given Vision 2030. In fact, MBS का brainchild है Vision 2030 और इसका aim क्या है? Aim is economic diversification. और इसका ट्रिगर क्या है? व्हाट इज़ द रीज़न वाई दे वांट टू अंडरटेक इकोनॉमिक डाइवर्सिफिकेशन? क्योंकि एक तो दुनिया फॉसिल फ्यूल से दूर जा रही है. येस, वी आर मूविंग टूवर्ड्स रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी. एंड सेकेंडली, वन ऑफ द रीज़न इज ऑल्सो अरब स्प्रिंग. Yes, Arab Spring, which happened in 2011, motivated all these countries, Arab countries, to undertake socio-economic reforms. So because of Arab Spring, in fact, in 2015, Saudi Arabia for the first time extended their women right to vote. उससे पहले Saudi Arabian women did not have right to vote. Yes, they have been given right to drive vehicles and all such things. Right to vote has also been extended. और उसी context में economic development, economic diversification, ताकि oligarchy does not happen, है ना, concentration of wealth in the hands of very few does not happen, but their prosperity is more spread out across the kingdom. Fine, so it is in this context. So it is in this context they decided to form such strategic partnership councils with 8 countries plus Saudi Arabia. Yes, and the 4th such council was established with India, first with UK, France and China, and then India in 2019. Yes, to establish high-level council to steer India-Saudi Arabia relations. And this committee has, this council has 2 pillars, 2 committees namely. One is Committee on Political Security, Social, Cultural Cooperation, and the second is Committee on Economy and Investments. Yes. As such, now generally speaking, the relations began in 1947. The relations have been elevated to strategic partnership through Riyadh Declaration in 2010. Yes, Saudi Arabia, India is Saudi Arabia's second largest trade partner. Saudi Arabia is India's 4th largest trade partner. India has a trade deficit with Saudi Arabia, of course, because we import oil. Yes, energy security के लिए important है. Diaspora 2.4 million out of 8 million live in Saudi Arabia. Mecca and Medina are there in Saudi Arabia. Yes, bilateral exercise Al Muhammad Al Hindi. Yes, our multilateral organization में कहाँ present है? UNG20, IMEC, IORA. ठीक है, IORA में are we present? Saudi Arabia is not present. Yes, Saudi Arabia is not present on IORA. This is a mistake, but once again just verify it and then, है ना, IORA में you have Yemen, Oman, UAE, not Saudi Arabia. Fine. Fine. So the The country occupies 4/5 of the Arabian Peninsula. ये deserts important है. Arabian Peninsula contains the world's largest sand area, Rab al Khali, the empty quarter it means. Yes, site of Islam's holiest site, abandoned oil fields. India, UAE. Yes, India UAE is in news because SEPA, which we signed in 2022, has completed 1 year. Also, the Cabinet Committee recently approved a bilateral investment treaty with UAE. हमने जो भी पॉइंट्स बोले थे जिसमें दिक्कत है इंडिया और डेवलप्ड वर्ल्ड को, वो सारे चीज़ें यूएई के साथ केटर्ड टू है. स्ट्रिक्ट रूल्स ऑफ ओरिजिन, ट्रिप्स में वी सी आई टू आई, आईपीआर में, इन्वेस्टमेंट में वी सी आई टू आई. यस, विज़वी दिस safeguard trigger, automatic trigger safeguard mechanisms, ऐसे करके जो भी provisions है we see eye to eye. Maybe you can look into the provisions of SEPA with UAE. एक बार just go through it. ठीक है. Fine, it was entered into force on 1st May 2022. While a free trade agreement focuses mainly on goods, SEPA is more comprehensive and ambitious. Holistic coverage of areas such as services, investment, IPR, government procurement, dispute settlement. There is a SEPA Council. India also has a SEPA with Japan and South Korea. Yes, Japan के साथ, but हमारे साथ क्या हो रहा है, trade deficit बढ़ रहा है. Yes, that is the problem. About BIT with UAE, aimed at improving confidence of investors to increase foreign investment opportunity. Existing bilateral investment protection agreement will expire in September 2024. So we have signed the BIT. The new model BIT was adopted in 2015. ठीक है. Other important ये सारे local currency settlement system. तो भाई de-dollarization of trade. Then to link India's UPI with UAE's instant payment platform. Then national NPCI, International Payment Limited, they signed a strategic partnership, and IIT Delhi is to open its campus in UAE. The second such campus overseas after Tanzania. Key facts: UAE is the third largest trading partner. India's second largest export destination is UAE. We have a trade deficit. Yes, regular military exercise such as Desert Eagle. UAE has the highest number of Indian diaspora, I2U2. Yes, and ISRO recently launched UAE's first nano satellite. ये भी important है, Naif 1. Fine, so you combined maritime force. UAE has withdrew its participation. एक बार ये जो facts है अब ये देख लेना आप है ना. It is a federation of 7 emirates and all such things. Some of the world's largest sand dunes. एक बार इसको देख लेना. Fine. Fine, then that is it, I think so, for that is it for today. We are the bilateral ties will go fast. इसमें ज़्यादा कुछ है नहीं actually. Yes, उसके बाद जो एक टॉपिक है that is more important I feel, INSTC है ना, नदर्न क्या है, सी रूट वगैरह है उसमें. Yes, and then we have few topics from security. Yes, as such the plan is to complete it by tomorrow. Yes, let's see if we are able to do so. We'll try to do so. I'll not try and hurry up, but इसमें bilateral ties, you have seen it goes fast. There is not much bilateral relations में ज़्यादा discuss करने को होता नहीं है. Yes, let's see if we can complete it on the schedule. Fine, that is it for today then. Thank you.